All right. TDOT says there's an earlier stall blocking the left shoulder 24 eastbound on the East Loop downtown. That's going to be exit 47A. And then at Rivergate, TDOT says there's a crash 65 southbound after Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. That'll be exit 95. Already we're seeing the build-up stop-and-go traffic northbound 65 up to the South Loop. And then if you're eastbound 24 and 40, it is really heavy right before the eastern split. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you for being with us. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, 7 minutes after 3 o'clock. Obviously, a very sad day as there's a mass shooting to talk about out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. As we speak, Chief Brian O'Hara, the police chief in Minneapolis, is updating us on the latest on the shooting. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is there among the assembled officials. Do you have it up there, Jackson? Let's go ahead and go directly to this press conference right now.
Last night that happened on the 2700 block of 3rd Avenue South. That person has not been booked specifically for being responsible for that murder, but we believe that is the person who caused that. So, no, unfortunately not.
Apologies for not getting the questions here, but we'll try to fill in the gaps as we best can. Question being asked of Chief O'Hara.
Yeah, so the question was, where do we start to make sure this doesn't happen again? I don't have an answer for that at this time. So the question is this an investigation into a hate crime against Catholics? We don't have a motive at this time. Obviously, we're open to any possibilities at all, but we don't have a motive or anything to suggest that. Yeah. Yeah. So the question is the concern for other churches, other schools around the metro. Unfortunately, this is something that our community has been dealing with for some time. The threat of active shooters, the threat of hate crimes at houses of worship, unfortunately, is not something new here. And of course, our precinct inspectors, our crime prevention specialists are available to work with both houses of worship, churches, and schools that do reach out to assist in any additional security measures or advice that we can offer them. In the Twin Cities? Yeah, from the the question was, is the first time that there's been attack of Catholics at Mass in the Twin Cities area? The Archbishop is unaware of any other attack.
We're in the midst of a press conference in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the aftermath of the shooting at a Minneapolis Catholic school.
Is it being investigated by the FBI? Well, the FBI is here with us and has been a part of this entire investigation, as well as the ATF, other law enforcement. It's being led right now by the Minneapolis Police Department, and we are looking at, obviously, any possibilities from wherever the evidence will lead us from what we recover. Absolutely.
Thank you all again so much for
It looks like they are wrapping up. Amy Klobuchar's there, Senator Amy Klobuchar, Governor Tim Walz, other assembled politicians, as well as the police chief in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Good afternoon. Welcome to the show. It is Wednesday, August 27, 2025. It's our episode 873 of our gatherings together today, and we're happy that you've decided to join us. We've got 4 full hours. We will not spend the entire time on this awful tragedy, but obviously it is the most important story of the day, as we have 2 dead, multiple wounded, a couple of children wounded in a critical fashion, and the assailant, the shooter himself, taking his own life at the end of the melee. We will discuss it with you, as we do, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Take your questions, your telephone calls, your comments, your thoughts at 615-737-9986. In just a couple of minutes, we will speak to our good friend, Brink Fiddler. I hate to talk to him on days like this, but it is obviously necessary. Brink is the best in the business when it comes to helping remind you how best to fortify, how best to prepare, how best to understand what to do in the very unlikely event that something like this might happen to you, around you, or in your vicinity. Obviously, in Nashville, Tennessee, we fully understand what the community of Minneapolis is going through, as we have been through it ourselves. We understand how it tears at the heartstrings and tears at the very fabric of a community, how it is politicized to the point where people, believe that only one way is the right way to potentially or possibly stop these things from happening again in the United States of America and in our midst. The bottom line is this, as I've said so many times in the past: if you continue to believe in a nation that values freedom, then we will never be 100% secure in this country. I can assure you that these types of things do not happen in North Korea. Would you want to move to North Korea? I can assure you that these types of things don't happen in communist China, although they do have occasionally an outbreak, not necessarily with guns, but with knives and other weapons. And it is because we value freedom and liberty so much, freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of association, freedom of religion, that we find ourselves in a vulnerable way from time to time. That is a reality of the country that we live in. That's a reality of our ability to move and live freely in a manner of our own choosing. That doesn't mean that we can't talk about these things and try to figure out exactly what to do to best prepare ourselves, to best defend ourselves, and to best identify those individuals that might show a propensity for mental illness or a propensity for violence of this nature. Obviously, we can't get it right every time, but you have to get it right every time, because when you don't get it right, these types of things happen. So we're going to talk about it today. We're going to take your calls. I find it, I've been doing this long enough to know that there are many of you that are in the "we must do something about the guns" camp, or at least some of you. And there are many of you that are in the "we must do something about mental illness" camp, many of you. And sadly, we don't seem to be able to get a grasp on exactly what to do about any or all of that. All of that will be discussed on the show today. At 4 o'clock, we'll veer away from this topic. We'll talk to a 7th Congressional District candidate who will stop in for a visit. He is Matt Van Epps, running for the 7th Congressional District, has the endorsement of the congressman that just left that position, Mark Green. It will be a pleasure to meet Matt Van Epps. I've not had an opportunity. We'll talk with him about his hat being in that ring. Your telephone calls all afternoon long as well. 15 minutes after the hour. I'm going to take the break a little early because I know we have Brink on the other side. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN, just getting underway. Friends, if you've lived in Tennessee for any length of time, you know that power outages are common and sadly on the rise. Storms, aging infrastructure, and demand on the grid are all contributors to power outages. You may not control the weather, you may not control the utility company, but you can control your home's response. Keep your family and your loved ones safe. The weather is only getting worse every year. The team at Premier Generators, they're ready to help you. Premier Generators is your source for all things Generac generators in Middle Tennessee. They're the #1 Generac generator dealer in Middle Tennessee, and they want to talk with you about putting a home generator at your place of residence. Why? Well, because the power's on when it goes off for everyone else. That's why. It's as simple as that. It's safety, it's security, and it's comfort, knowing that you have that insurance policy at your home with Premier Generators and Generac generators at your side. PremierGenerators.com or call 855-POWER is on, 855-PWR-ISON. That's 855-797-4766. Ask about that 10-year warranty and tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Premier Generators.
Got the very latest on the mass murder at the Minneapolis Catholic Church this morning. 2 school children killed, the gunman dead, dozens others injured. Coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, that's coming up in just a couple of minutes. Did not have the opportunity to say hello to Jackson today. He's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible, screening your telephone calls as well. Hello, Jackson.
Hey, bud.
And then there's Ken Weaver. You just heard from Mr. Weaver, Brother Weaver, back in News Closet B, gathering headlines as we speak. Hope you're doing okay there, Ken.
I'm doing all right, Brother Murphy. How about you boys?
It's going to be a crazy afternoon. Doing well. Lots to get into today on the Matt Murphy Show, getting underway with Brink Fiddler. Obviously, you hear me talking about Brink. He is simply the best that I know when it comes to physical security at your place of business. It really, and this can extend even to your place of residence. And we lean on him to try to understand how best to fortify ourselves. We'll never be 100% secure. And frankly, we spend our days in the aftermath of these things trying to make sense of the senseless. But Brink will try to help us out with that. Brink, thank you for being on with us. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Appreciate you having me.
Of course. I mean, I know you do it every day, man. I know you're out and you're trying to train people up in what is proper practice. In the I always say when I'm talking about defense systems that, you know, it is very unlikely that you'll ever go through something like this, but hope is not a plan. You got to get trained. And, you know, obviously that's on our minds and on our hearts today. Just what can you tell me about, you know, what we know about, and I don't know that we know a lot, but what we know about this situation up in Minneapolis?
Well, a couple of things that make it a little different. The fact that the shooter, you know, attacked from outside, you know, i.e. through the windows. We haven't seen that hardly much at all. Most of these shooters want to get in because as sick as it is, they want to dominate. They want numbers. You know, that was some of the things that came out of the Covenant writings about why she didn't select other targets, was she felt like she couldn't contain the people and get the numbers that she wanted. So that made this attack a little unusual. And it also makes the mitigation strategy a little different as well. And, you know, if we're all in a sanctuary and rounds start coming through the windows, number one, knowing what to do. And it's kind of the opposite of what your brain wants you to do. Your brain wants you to move away from the windows, and in reality, you should move closer to that wall and in between or below the windows, which, again, is opposite of what is natural if you don't have some sort of training. But also the ability to meet force with force on the perimeter of whether it be your church or school is hugely important. This is where, you know, our armed guards and our police officers come in, is being able to meet that threat as quickly as possible. It's a lot harder for them to focus and put rounds through your windows if they got rounds coming down range at them as well. So that makes it a little different. But as far as the shooter themselves go, a lot of commonalities there. Obviously, huge mental health issues, long time planning, reconnaissance of the building, a map of the sanctuary. You know, all these things are not uncommon. You know, a previous kind of fascination with prior shootings or mass attacks. All those are pretty common pre-attack indicators that we see in a lot of these shootings.
I don't know if you've seen it, and you know, obviously you're busy every day training and helping people recognize warning signs and what to do in the unlikely event, as we talk about quite often. So I don't know if you've seen this, but the shooter also seemed to plan to fortify exits to prevent exiting the building. Did you see that?
Yeah, and I've seen mixed reports on that, on which side of the door it was on, whether it was something that was done by the shooter or somebody else. Either way, though, that we have seen that before as well in Virginia Tech. The shooter at Virginia Tech chained the three main doors to Norris Hall shut to prevent people to be able to get out, but also prevent first responders from getting in, which is, you know, another huge problem, obviously, if we don't plan to deal with that as well. I will brag on my former employer and the police department here in Nashville, and one thing that they did several years ago to kind of deal with that potential problem is they issued breaching tools to every officer and put the entire department through breaching training. And in years past, you know, that kind of stuff was really reserved for more specialized units, your SWAT teams, your narcotics, your gang units, you know, people that are ramming doors in and all that kind of stuff every day. But now, thankfully, the police department has seen fit to give breaching tools and training to everybody department-wide, so that if they run into that issue, that they can still get through that door if they need to.
Have you seen anything on response time? Like
I have not
police
yet,
response
but,
time?
you know,
I haven't either.
No, I mean, you know, you and I obviously talked off air earlier. I mean, I literally am just leaving a training for a company, so
No.
you know, my team is trying to text me updates all day, but I'm also standing in front of people trying to talk.
No, I get it. No, and I
hard to do both.
don't. No, and listen. I mean, obviously, I recognize that you've been busy trying to help people all day, and you might not be. I haven't seen it, and I just wonder And you chide me every time we talk. You's like, Murphy, the motivation doesn't matter. It's the methods that we need to learn from to try to fortify ourselves, because the motivation is going to change whatever's inside the head of a psychopath that's willing to kill babies. But at the same time, I gravitate to this exterior factor, the fact that the shooter seemed to stay outside of the church sanctuary and then eventually went inside and shot themselves. And I just, I'm led to wonder whether it was a fast response time that led to the prevention of other death,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm obviously always curious about the response time, just because of you understand the lag because we've talked about it, but I guess most of the audience may or may not understand. First thing that happens is whoever's calling in has to process what's happening in their brain, right? That takes a second. Then they get on the phone with 911. Well, you don't talk to the dispatcher. You talk to a call taker who has to take your information, put it in the system. That gets sent over to a dispatcher who also now has to process it, read it, and get it out to the guys. Then they dispatch, and then the guys get around, guys and girls, right? So that process just takes a minute. I mean, it's nobody's fault. I mean, that's just the way it is. Covenant's a good example. By the time the cops were dispatched to Covenant, if they were dispatched at 10:14:24, that's when they took all theirs and sent those guys to that school to help everybody. By the time they sent them, everybody had been shot. And, again, I'm not blaming anybody. It's just people don't understand the system and how it works and how fast this stuff happens.
Any other thought? I mean, I know that we're just processing this on this day. Is there anything that you think we need to know right now in terms of our daily lives? I mean, obviously, our hearts go out to these folks. I'm going to have a conversation with the listening audience about, there's several directions that we need to go, and I would suggest that we need to be better about preparing ourselves for these types of things in ways that you and I talk about all the time, whether it's training from a group like yours. I would recommend yours, but any group that you have, I mean, whatever level of training that you're willing to commit to, please do it. But also individually, understanding that we're the first responders. I kind of say that with all respect to the first responders themselves, but I just want to reinforce that there's always going to be a lag time. I'm being told on the super text line that it was about 7 minutes, which is not a lot of time, Brink. 7 minutes is a very short response time for something like this. Would you agree?
I would. And, years ago I did an experiment on how many rounds I could fire in 3 minutes. We actually did a video on it. I think it's probably still on the website. But in 3 minutes, with what I could just carry on my body, I fired 315 rounds from a rifle and a pistol. So, 7 minutes is fast, but what
right.
What can happen in that time period? And back to your point, being first responders, can we treat each other medically, while we're waiting on help? That's another big one. I guess the two big takeaways here are training always, right? Do the people in the building know what to do, yes or no? That's an easy one. The other one here that sometimes people don't talk about enough, and that is the ability to meet force with force.
Mm-hmm.
So especially when you're gathering a large group, like in a crowded environment, like a sanctuary, i.e. mass or cafeteria or gymnasium, that you can't evacuate. I mean, you just can't do it. It's too many people. You have to have good guys with guns to stop bad guys with guns in those environments, because the only good answer there is someone shooting back.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't like to hear that, but, I'm happy to talk to every single person that doesn't like to hear that and have them explain to me what else is going to work. Nothing else is going to work. You have to meet force with force.
100%, Brink. Thank you for a little time today. Thank you for processing this as best we can. And that's a great launching point for the conversation that we're about to have about what to do in our own lives to better prepare ourselves for the unlikely event that something like this should happen to us. It's unlikely, but you and I talk about these things far too often to make me believe that it'll never happen to us, because sadly it has happened here and it continues to happen all across America and all across the world. Thank you, Brink, for the time.
Yes, sir.
All right, there's Brink Fiddler of Defense Systems. I mean, look, folks, you heard it from Brink. You don't need to hear me repeat it. But I will tell you in a moment that there are two directions that we go. We either recognize ourselves as the first responders in a dangerously developing world and recognize that we have major mental health issues that are going on in this country that are untreated, and we do something about that, or we begin the process of repealing the Second Amendment and gathering people's guns. Those are basically the two directions that you've got in front of you. What do you say? I'll explain both of them in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. 8 and 10-year-old children are dead after an active shooter fired at a church in Minneapolis on Wednesday. 17 other victims are injured, 14 of them children. The shooter took his own life. Here's Alex Stone.
It was around 8:30 in the morning when Minneapolis police say a shooter in his 20s, dressed all in black with a rifle, shotgun, and pistol, began firing into the church windows from the outside, killing children who were sitting in the pews. The children were at a service marking the first week of school. Police Chief Brian O'Hara says the doors on that side of the building had been barricaded by the shooter using plywood.
This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children.
A motive is not clear. The shooter's car is being searched for evidence. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Flags at the White House lowered to half-staff after President Trump signed a proclamation to honor the victims. The proclamation orders flags on public buildings in the U.S. and around the world to fly at half-staff through Sunday at sunset. Here in Middle Tennessee, Laverne police are looking for two suspects they say robbed a man at gunpoint on I-24 yesterday morning. This will be between Sam Ridley Parkway and Waldron Road. Sometime between 10:45 and 11 a.m., the suspects driving a black Toyota sedan with a black license plate checked the victim, then threw eggs on his windshield. Police say when the victim pulled over to the shoulder because he couldn't see, the suspect stopped, then jumped out of the car and robbed him at gunpoint. Police say the suspects were black men wearing masks and gloves and armed with pistols. They're asking anyone with information or dash cam footage that could have captured that incident to contact the Laverne Police Department. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Laverne got a crash, 24 westbound past Old Hickory Boulevard. Over here on the East Loop downtown going eastbound, TDOT says there was an earlier crash there at exit 47A. TDOT says there's still some remnants of an earlier crash in Rivergate, 65 southbound after Vietnam Veterans Boulevard. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Alpha and Omega Computer Consultation, great at what they do. Michael, Eric, I met Eric the other day via the phone. Absolutely love this guy. Man, he's smart about computers. Michael's smart about computers. The entire team, he has the best of the best working for Alpha and Omega. Now, my issue was, relatively speaking, very small, but boy, they were attentive to me. And not just because I speak well about them on the radio. No, they treat every single one of their customers with the same attentive nature. If you own a business and your IT contract is up, or if you don't have one and you're trying to do this yourself, do yourself a favor and contact Michael and his team. They do it all, from tip to stern, from back and forth, internets, printers, computer systems themselves, your internal system, your external cybersecurity, all of it. handled by Alpha and Omega. They take complete ownership of that aspect of your company and free you up to do things to benefit your company. How about that? You're making money over here and you're protected over there. That's what it's all about at Alpha and Omega Computers. So give them a call at 615-784-0096, 784-0096, or go to aando.net. That's aando.net. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project. The Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project was founded in 2014 by, well, legendary musician Charlie Daniels and his manager, David Corlew. And they continue the tradition started by Charlie and David to this day. They're conscious of the need to assist our nation's veterans. The Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project is an organization that I am so proud to get to talk about, so proud to be affiliated with them in a very, very small way. And I'm proud to tell you about their mission to help veterans and heroes reintegrate from service to civilian life, but also their September 11th event. The Patriot Awards event is right around the corner, and I invite you to be a part of it. You're invited to be a part of it as well. Find out more by going to the website, thejourneyhomeproject.org. That's the Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project. It's their passion to be a beacon of light to direct veterans and their families in the best possible direction to facilitate the needs of those veterans. The Charlie Daniels Journey Home Project, online at the CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.org. That's the CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.org. Mark the day, September 11th, and find out more about how you can purchase tickets to the Patriot Awards hosted by Trace Atkins at City Winery on September 11th, starting at 5:30. Once again, the CharlieDanielsJourneyHomeProject.org. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy Show. Would love to hear from you. 615-737-9986. 615-737-WWTN. You can also hit us up on the Super Text line. It's the exact same telephone number. Hey, on a lighter note, young Jackson, have you seen what we got behind the old Murph here? Have you seen Ken Weaver? What we got?
That's big old TV.
Yeah, we got the TV back. Look at there. It's a little higher up than it used to be. Y'all want to know why?
Because you can't hit it with the handle anymore.
That's right. So that the vertically challenged Joan Jones can't destroy the television anymore. Or Dan Mandis.
Why don't you test it?
Okay, I'll test it.
See if we can hit it.
All right, hold on.
Brother Murphy,
testing it out.
don't do it too hard, Brother Murphy.
You go like that, and see?
Ah, yeah.
See, now Matt Van Epps thinks I'm inviting him in because they just got here. And so I just opened the door and just slammed the door on him.
In their face.
I slammed the door on him, and now he's like, what? Does he want me to leave? No, that's not true. That's not true. Van Epps is like, what is going on? I'm going on that. What kind of Huckleberries show am I going on here? No, we cannot destroy the television anymore. They moved the TV. Let's discuss this real quick. We will deviate away from the Minneapolis story which is obviously touching our hearts in a moment. But I just want to, we just need to talk plainly about these things. We are family. And as a huge extended family, I'm certain, particularly in an emotional situation like this, that there are a lot of different ideas about what to do and how to do it. Now, I'm being told, and I received conflicting reports about an hour ago, and I appreciate you guys helping me out with that. The response time from the time the police got the first 911 call to the time that they arrived at the church was about 7 minutes. And I'm being told that he might have been around the sanctuary, but not inside of the sanctuary. It seems that he remained, the shooter did, outside for all of the shooting. And we will continue to try to paint the mosaic and to fill in the jigsaw puzzle of the details as we understand them as to the events that happened today and what precipitated those events. And there's a lot of people trying to score some political points online right now, pretending that they know the mental state of this individual, pretending that they know. We have no. Let me just put it real clear to you. It could very well be that his mental illness manifested itself in some sort of self-identified transgender ideology. But we have no idea if that led him to this. None. And so painting with a broad brush along those lines does no good. Equally, or even more so, painting with a broad brush of gun control does us no good either. But I will say this. For those that believe that gun control is the only and ultimate answer, I would tell you, then you need to go do the work. The work is this. If you believe that it is an appropriate response to disarm law-abiding citizen as the result of a mentally disturbed human who decided to kill children at a church in Minneapolis, Minnesota, then you put in the work, you change hearts and minds, you convince people it's time to repeal the Second Amendment. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. I do not believe that America will agree with you, and I don't think it's even close. As a matter of fact, I think quite differently on this matter, and I think most Americans think quite differently on this matter. But I'm just trying to help you hone your argument, because let's stop nipping around the edges, liberals. What you are asking for is a disarmed American society. And whether you admit that or not, we know it. Oh, you claim that it has something to do with assault rifles. The vast majority of deaths in the United States of America every single year come in the form of what? Handguns. So if I were to snap my fingers, and I wouldn't do this, nor would I want to do this, but if I somehow got knocked on the head and agreed with you, and I snapped my fingers, and assault rifles were gone tomorrow, what happens when a crazed, mentally deranged individual shoot a couple of people with a handgun? Because you seem obsessed in blaming the weapon of their choosing as opposed to trying to get to the heart of the evil that has to be present in order for these things to occur, or the mental derangement. Of course, you would continue down a path of disarmament. That's what you want. I would be much more comfortable having these discussions if my liberal friends would just be more honest and say that they want a disarmed society. And if you do that and you look around your state or look around your country, you're going to see a lot of people looking back at you that disagree with that sentiment. But I would suggest to you that we have some soul searching to do as well, because the vast majority of Americans understand the fallacy of the disarmament argument. Now, once again, if you want to do it, go sell your idea, go sell this concept to the rest of America. Oh, by the way, you're going to have to get around that pesky Constitution, and that's going to require a constitutional amendment repealing the Second Amendment. Because otherwise, you're not disarming anybody. But I don't believe that that's the proper mental approach anyway. I believe that we must mentally galvanize ourselves to the concept that we are the first responders. And as much as I appreciate police officers and firefighters and EMTs, as much as I appreciate those, especially those that are moving toward danger as opposed to those of us running away from danger, those that are willing to put their bodies and literally their lives on the line on a daily basis in the most routine of actions in their day-to-day jobs. Those police officers on the street, I love them and I appreciate them. But it is time that we stop considering them the first responders. They are not the first responders. You are the first responder. You are the first responder. And I believe if we understand this and we remind ourselves of this and we take that responsibility seriously, then maybe we'll begin to build the foundation where we can, as Brink Fiddler said, push back and literally fire back when, sadly, the circumstances warrant. Those are the options. For far too long, the leftist media in the United States of America, they created and ran with a narrative that guns are always bad in any situation. They have attempted to infect the minds of young people with this idea that anytime there's an introduction of a gun in any situation whatsoever, that's a bad thing. They do this in a number of different ways, but not more so than the idea of gun-free zones. Why in the hell do we have gun-free zones? Criminals do not give a damn about your gun-free zones. The only people that care about gun-free zones are people that are attempting to abide by the law. I'll tell you this. I practice what I preach. And outside of facilities that have security measures that would prevent me from carrying, I don't see I hear people talking about them. I hear people all the time talking about them. These signs in places of business where they got the gun and the little circle and the line through the circle. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I hear people talking about these signs all the time. And you know what, Jackson? I've never seen one. I've never seen one. I've looked around, never seen one. Odd, isn't it? Because I'm not going to die for a lack of shooting back. And that is not me trying to be a Billy Badass. That's not me trying to, come at this from an Old West mentality. That is me coming at this from a first responder mentality. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean that you carry and you start firing willy-nilly at people if you find yourself in a negative situation. Your first response could be to get the hell out of there and run. My suggestion that we need to start thinking of ourselves as first responders is merely this, that we have been sadly conditioned to believe that we, in most of these cases, are passive observers of the situation as opposed to active participants. And if you're in one of these situations, whether you like it or not, you're an active participant. And you can choose to flee, you can choose to hide, you can choose to fight. But response and reaction are two different things. We need to get rid of this concept of gun-free zones. They don't work. Forget what the motivation behind them, whatever that was, I'll forgive all of that. Because I believe part of it was to attempt to infect our minds with this idea that guns are always bad in any given situation, so as to easier separate ourselves from those guns when the time comes. But even if I give those that created this idea the benefit of the doubt, guess what? They don't work because criminals don't care. Criminals look at gun-free zones as target-rich environments because they know that there will not be what? Shooting back. From who? The first responders. Who's that? You. You. It's either that or allow the political left to slowly erode away our ability to provide the ultimate defense for ourselves and our family in the form of our constitutional right to keep and bear arms. I don't believe that you'll put up with that. I hope not. But I also believe that we need to do something about people that are killing our children. And we need to take a proactive approach about it. That includes mental health. And when we talk about these issues, we rightly so wag our finger at the political left that run to the corner of gun control and start parroting the leftist mantras that we've heard for so many years about this issue. But I would suggest that we do the same thing when it comes to mental health. We always talk about it. Somebody's got to do something about mental health. There's a mental health problem in the United States of America. Well, what the hell are we going to do? You're talking about identifying and involuntarily admitting individuals who have mental issues into institutions. That is what we talk about when we talk about doing something about mental health. And yet we get there and the conversation stops. It just stops. Sadly. And here we are with an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old dead. That reminds me so very much of what we went through several years ago in this community. 615-737-9986. Look, I know many of you want to comment. I ran a little bit long there. We've got a guest coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to talk to him. Obviously, we'll ask Matt Van Epps his thoughts on this and many other issues. Looking forward to that conversation next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So here's the deal, folks. When I first got to Nashville, Tennessee, I had back issues. I had a lower back thing going on that's kind of a constant deal that I have to work with on a regular basis. And I had this upper back issue. Spinal decompression was my key to unlocking a pain-free life, especially when it came to my upper back and neck area. And now I want to encourage you to get to the Wellness Institute of Nashville to experience the same thing. I made the switch to Dr. Mitch, I guess about a year or so ago now, and I'm so pleased that I did. He has the latest technologies available at his fingertips to help you feel better without the need for needles, without the need for spinal injections, and without the consideration for surgery. That's what it's all about. And now they have modern techniques. I mean, they're literally, spinal decompression is exactly what it sounds like, right? Over the years, your spine gets compressed either through injury or just age, and you get some bone-on-bone action, you get some bone-on-nerve action, you get some disc action going on, and suddenly you're in debilitating pain. What if I told you there was a way where you could heal the disc by opening it up, allowing blood, hydration, nutrition into that area, and that's going to heal you and create a pain-free environment. What about it? $12 Big Daddy Trump special going on right now. 615-246-5009. 246-5009 or painisbad.com. That's painisbad.com. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy for my good buddies at Eurofix. You know, it was once said, do all the good you can, but all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can. I'll say that again. Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can. That's what owner Aaron Stokes has tried to do for over a quarter of a century. Friends, at Eurofix repairs European vehicles below dealer pricing. It's what set Eurofix apart at the beginning of this relationship that they started in 1999. It isn't just the price, it's the deep commitment to quality that keeps you off the tow truck. Eurofix has clean, welcoming shops where you can actually sit down without fear of getting grease on you. They have a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection to share with you what's going on. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all repair work performed. Rental cars are available with appointment as well. 5 locations. There's Nashville, Franklin, Murfreesboro, Belmead, Mount Juliet, 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
We're learning a lot more about the shooter of the Catholic Church there in Minneapolis today that took the lives of 2 young children and injured 14 others. That's coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is just about 4 o'clock. We'll shift gears a little bit. Obviously, the first question I will ask to our next guest will be about this situation, how it relates to Nashville, Tennessee, in the 7th Congressional District. It is Matt Van Epps. He's coming up in just a moment. I want to clean one thing up. When I say we are the first responders, when I say that we need to do our best to have that mental approach and that mental attitude, let there be no mistake. With power comes responsibility. And you have the responsibility, if you choose to arm yourself, if you choose to be the lion and not the sheep, to train yourself, to get yourself the training necessary to not only understand how to use a gun, but when to use a gun. Okay? So understand, with personal responsibility, I mean, when you have rights, those rights oftentimes carry responsibilities. And I just want to make sure I said that. So I'm not telling you to go out and buy a gun from the Glock store and, oh, congratulations, keep it in your pocket everywhere you go. You need to take the responsibility to train yourself up as well. It is 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Coming up in just a moment, Matt Van Epps. He is running for Congress in the 7th Congressional District. I hope that we're going to see him on September 5th at this debate that I'm co-moderating. This will be much harder than that debate, by the way. This is the tough one, coming in the studio with me. But Matt is in with us, and we'll talk to him about his decision to run, his past, his present, and his potential future. That is up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
4 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. In Minneapolis, following the morning mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic School, police identified the lone gunman who opened fire, killing 2 children and wounding 17 others. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
Police are now identifying the shooter as 23-year-old Robin Westman. FBI Director Kash Patel says Robin Westman was born Robert Westman. Driver's license information reviewed by ABC News shows a name change application in 2020, noting the applicant identified as a female and requested the name change. Police say the shooter was wearing all black with a rifle, shotgun, and pistol when the young children were targeted.
The FBI director says the agency is investigating investigating the shooting as a domestic terrorism and hate crime against Catholics. ABC News has learned police are looking into the gunman's social media, including a YouTube video posted before the shooting. The video shows an individual flipping through pages of notes and drawings. This is ABC News.
Stay with Super Talk 99.7 WTN for continuing coverage. We've got updates online, on air. We'll break in when necessary. A mother and father in Southern California are accused of killing their 7-month-old baby, dumping the body, then claiming it was a kidnapping. Here's Alex Stone.
It was August 14th when Rebecca Haro claimed she had been attacked outside of a sporting goods store and her 7-month-old baby, Emmanuel, was kidnapped. Now Rebecca and her husband, Jake, are charged with murder. Riverside County DA Mike Hestron says evidence shows Emmanuel was killed by his parents, and they think they know where the body was dumped.
We have a pretty strong indication of where the remains of baby Emmanuel are.
Investigators say Emmanuel had been so severely abused over a period of time, he finally succumbed to his injuries. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Kroger, one of the nation's largest grocery store chains, planning to lay off more employees. About 1,000 workers in Kroger's corporate office is going to be let go. The layoffs will reportedly not affect anyone working in stores or anyone working at distribution sites. According to Reuters, in a memo to employees, interim Kroger CEO Ron Sargent says the cuts will simplify the organization, free up money to lower grocery prices, help them add stores and hours for store employees. The company has given no indication that these cuts have anything to do with tariffs. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, still showing that crash 24 westbound past Old Hickory Boulevard south, and we're starting to get that stop-and-go traffic in the usual places this time of day, especially if you're northbound 65 between 440 and the South Loop, eastbound South Loop to 65, and then eastbound East Loop before you get to the 40-24 split. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hour number 2 starts right now. Here we go. It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Thank you for being with us on this Wednesday. It's a midweek edition, August 27. You probably knew that by now. It's 7 minutes after 4 o'clock. Happy to be with you, and thank you for being with us. Obviously, the big story of the day out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We've been discussing it throughout the course of the day, and we'll continue updating you. Not a lot to say except 2 children killed, 14 children and 3 adults hurt in a shooting that happened in Minneapolis this morning as the young children were in sanctuary praying. They were gathering for a mass at a Catholic school there. Obviously, there are many, broad concepts to discuss and, some minute strokes to fill in as I refer to it, the mosaic, the picture that we're painting about the assailant, the people that lost their lives, and what potentially, if anything, we can do about all of that. So we will continue that discussion with you on the phones in just a little bit. Right now, we'll turn our attention somewhat, although this will be a topic of conversation for our next guest as well, turn our attention to the 7th Congressional District. By now, you guys know that I am, man, I'm trying to be Switzerland. I'm so Switzerland in this race, the 7th Congressional District race, mainly because I take it very seriously, my role as a co-moderator at a debate that will be happening September 5th at the Cabaret here in Nashville. And you're invited. You can find out more about that by going to Americans for Prosperity, or I imagine you can go to the Cabaret website and find out more about that as well. We can have more information for you as to your attendance in person, but you can also listen on our airwaves, 99.7 WTN, to a debate between the 7th Congressional District candidates, or at least the top-tier candidates. And one of those individuals that I believe you'll be seeing on the debate stage and listening to on 99.7 FM is in studio with us today. He is Matt Van Epps. He is running for the 7th Congressional District seat that was occupied by Congressman Mark Green, who I believe has endorsed Matt to continue his legacy in the 7th. And he joins us in studio. Matt, thank you for being in with us.
Matt, thank you so much. Honored to be here. Really appreciate you having me today.
So, for those that don't know, I know that you had an opportunity to talk with Dan Mandis soon after announcing, and you've been making the rounds and talking to folks about your candidacy. Give me a sense of who you are and what led you to the decision to throw your hat in the ring.
Absolutely, and thank you so much. So, to start, I'm a Christian, a husband, a father, a conservative, and a combat veteran. I'm a West Point grad, was a part of the class of 9/11, went on after that to be a combat helicopter pilot. I flew Apaches and then Chinooks with the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment here out of Fort Campbell.
Is that the one on your logo?
The Chinook is.
The Chinook is.
The Chinook is.
Yeah.
Flew during when I was flying Apaches, I deployed to Iraq for 12 months. Was just north of Baghdad at a place called Camp Taji, and then Cessna was selected for 160th. Deployed 8 times to Afghanistan with 160th.
Wow.
And our job was to take the fight to terrorist high value targets, to kill or capture them, and that's what we did. Some very formative experiences. And after that, I worked in small business and then served in state government, most recently as the commissioner of the Tennessee Department of General Services, and still serving in the National Guard as well. Been in the Tennessee Army National Guard here for 8 years, National Guard time, 10 years total.
So talk, a lot to unpack in that answer, but obviously your years of service in the military, thank you.
Thank you.
First and
Honored
foremost for that.
Thank you.
And how does that translate in? Is it just a service heart that translates into wanting to be in Washington as a congressman?
I think a big part is a heart for service, a heart for public service. For me, duty honored country started how I was raised on faith, family, and freedom. My mom was born very poor in West Virginia, raised in Pennsylvania, where if she got an orange for Christmas, it was a really good year.
Right.
My dad was from East Cleveland, Ohio, drafted into Vietnam, was an infantryman and tunnel rat. Neither my mom or dad went to college, but they worked really hard for my brother and I, and we're both West Point graduates because of that. And I owe them a debt of gratitude, and that's core to who I am. I have a young daughter, and today's events are just tragic and horrible, and strike home even more now with a young daughter. But I want to work and do what's best for her and her generation and fight for them. And I think to your initial question, it is that fight. It's standing with the president as an America First conservative. You mentioned I was endorsed by Mark Green, honored to be endorsed by him. He called me a true warrior, and he knows that I'm going to pick up the ball and run with it to fight hard for all of us, keep the border secure, and to execute on the America First agenda. And so honored and excited to do that. And we're building a lot of momentum. We feel really good about where we're at right now in the race, and we're excited to continue forward.
Your combat experience gives you, I think, unique perspective to the question I'm going to ask concerning
Donald Trump's position on a lot of the foreign entanglements that we found ourselves in. And obviously, you mentioned your support of President Trump's agenda on your website prominently. You've mentioned it today. Was your experience, did it inform you in terms of whether or not our ultimate mission would be successful? I understand that you're there to carry out the mission. I'm not doubting that service for any of our men or women who are overseas. But how did, from a political perspective, how does that inform you as to his position that, we can't change hearts and minds, we can do what's best for the United States of America, and maybe sometimes that's getting ourselves out of some of those entanglements?
Well, I really appreciate that question. I believe in peace through strength. I think that's so incredibly important. I've lost friends and colleagues in combat, and they gave the last full measure of devotion and support for our country and our team, and they're just the most honorable, incredible people that have done that to complete the missions to protect our country, and that's what we were doing, and that's not lost on me. My dad served. My brother's still serving now. He's still active duty Army. I'm still in the National Guard, and I think what the president has done is drawn, with Iran, he drew a clear red line, tried to negotiate, that didn't work, and so we executed peace through strength, and we delivered a decisive blow.
Let me tell you, I didn't think it could. I was pleasantly surprised that he was able to, as commander-in-chief, thread the needle. What we're going to do is eliminate the threat of a nuclear-capable Iran, and we're not putting boots on the ground. We're not entangling ourselves in these years-long conflicts. But at the same time, we're going to draw that, as you put it, line in the sand.
I agree, Matt, and I stand with Israel. I'm 100% pro-Israel. I think that was a good decision that supported our allies in the region. And I think now, the president he's the best negotiator in the world, and he's doing that now with Ukraine and Russia, and we'll see what happens with that. But I'm encouraged by what's happening, and I think those negotiations will work out well.
You mentioned your National Guard service. Governor Bill Lee offered some Tennessee National Guardsmen up to Washington, D.C. in support of the president's effort to, kind of get the crime in that area under control. Obviously, the District of Columbia is a different thing than the various states. It's a different entity than anything else, and the president is well within his authority to do what he's doing. Do you think it's the right call on his part?
I do. I think we've seen really good results. And the National Guard is so well trained. They're professionals. They're really good at what they do. And to support law enforcement, the National Guard and law enforcement work really well together. And we're seeing really good outcomes. I think a statistic that I saw is carjackings are down 80%, robberies are down 40%.
I don't think they've had a murder since he took over.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right. Yeah, and I'm very encouraged by that, and I think it's the right thing to do. We should never feel threatened to walk down the street with our families going to a restaurant or dinner or to do something, and I think the president sees that and he's taking action, and that's what he does. He's a boots on the ground leader, and that's what he's doing.
I think, and I don't presume to be. It is a dangerous presumption to think that you know what the president of the United States is thinking, because oftentimes he'll fool you, and he's 3 steps ahead. But I feel like he knows that some of the other major metropolitan areas are a little bit different in terms of his legal authority. And what I have hoped, and I'm on record on this, is that those cities' residents will see the success in Washington, D.C. and demand more of their local leadership or even their state leadership. With that in mind, do you think that the president has the authority to do more federally in cities like Chicago or even Memphis, as an example? And if not, what can we do better to help those cities?
Sure. Well, I think I agree with your take on it too, and I think the president we've seen in L.A. where there was lawlessness and riots, and we can't stand for that. And I think the president is doing a great job of saying, hey, this isn't working, so we need to do something different, and then he takes action on it. And so I fully support that, and I think at the end of the day, lawlessness can't stand, and we've got to get crime under control, and the president's doing a great job of executing on that.
Governor Bill Lee, and I'm not asking you to take a position against necessarily the governor, but because I'm sure you have a good relationship as a former commissioner.
I do.
Of General Services. But by the way, what do you do as Commissioner of General Services?
That's
I'm sure you've gotten that question.
I have. It's a great question. And it's an amazing team. It's about 400 employees, about a $250 million operating budget. There's about $2 billion of assets under the state of Tennessee Real Estate Asset Management Agency. But the teams that handle real estate procurement, mail, vehicles, all of the internal functions of state government. So the other 22 departments and agencies were our customers. And I loved it. It's an amazing team with great leadership. We were honored to receive a top workplace award from the Tennessean while I was there. And I do like to say we were doing Doge before Doge and trying to drive at government efficiency, and was excited to be a part of that as well.
So the governor has recently said that he doesn't believe that the time is right to consider state takeover or National Guard, like in places like Memphis or even Nashville, for example. Would you agree with that? And what can we do more? Because we hear about these crime issues, particularly in Memphis. What would you suggest that we could perhaps do more in Tennessee to better support those cities?
Well, I think the governor has a very deliberate decision-making process that he goes there and evaluates a whole host of factors and issues to make really good decisions. And I think the first folks that I met with in this campaign when we launched, first candidate to get in, and we launched about 80 days ago. Some of the first folks I met were with sheriffs and chiefs, and I wanted to meet with them because I support law enforcement. I think it's so incredibly important, and I just asked them, what can I do if I'm elected? What can I do? How can I help you? What are the things that we should be thinking about? And that's so important. I think engaging with our law enforcement to fully support them, to fund them where they need to be funded, is give them the resources and tools to execute their mission is incredibly important. I have heard too that local law enforcement under the Trump administration is having a much better relationship and interaction with the federal agencies and law enforcement, and that's really important. I think that partnership is what allows us to solve these really hard things, or really complex things.
So you mentioned Doge, and I'm a budget hawk. I wish there were more budget hawks out there, because I do believe that the greatest existential threat the United States of America faces is $37 trillion in debt. And I appreciate the fact that the president had identified that early on in the term, had a point man, Elon, and really the purpose of Doge, in my experience, was to identify the issue, and then it's up to Congress to kind of settle the issue. Talk to me about your role as an incoming congressman from the 7th Congressional District in supporting the idea of cutting government. Yeah. Waste, fraud, and abuse, certainly, but even then, I think you have to cut federal government programs and maybe get some of those back to the states. Walk me through that from a 50,000-foot view.
Yeah, well, and I think Doge was right. It was time limited. We probably need an annual Doge. I think I would have voted for the big, beautiful bill, not big, beautiful law. I think locking in the president's tax cuts were incredibly important. I think getting rid of the Green New Deal was incredibly important. And I think with that, the rescissions packages that the administration is working right now is a step to that, to clawing back some of that totally unnecessary spending that the Biden administration had implemented. And so I see my role as codifying that, to supporting the administration on the rescissions packages, and then working broadly. You're right. I'm concerned about our national debt. It's a national security issue, the amount of debt that China owns, and it's just it is a real threat and a real issue. And so we've got to keep budget cuts front of mind. We've got to work to get to a balanced budget, and I think making that a priority is something that I'll do. And every bill that comes across, we'll take a really hard look at, and from a fiscal conservative viewpoint, and we'll work really hard towards those.
I mean,
efforts.
I assume that involves. Stop these omnibus spending packages have to stop, right? I mean, and getting to 12 separate appropriations bills. They call it regular order. I don't think that we've done regular order in, gosh, I think I was maybe in my early 30s the last time, and trust me, Matt, that was a long time ago, right? So I mean, that's a priority for you.
Well, I think fiscal conservatism is a top priority for me, and we'll work with the president, with the speaker, to ensure that we move things forward, but we do that in a way that's fiscally conservative, and we're we're really working to. You're right. We've got to keep working fraud, waste, and abuse. I know one of the big issues is, folks are concerned about. It came out of the poll actually that AFP did, and so really concerned about folks going to Congress that have integrity and are not going to become rich in doing that. And that's the Army values are still really important to me, and I think that's important to send a leader who knows that, who's going to work to fight against fraud, waste, and abuse and things that just don't make sense.
Well, did you? I mean, some of your fellow candidates took exception with the polling. I had nothing to do with it. I'm co-moderating the debate, but I'm just formulating questions to ask to all of the candidates who are standing on stage. Did you? I mean, I think it was kind of a statistical tie amongst the top four. Did you take exception with the poll?
No, we love where we're at. We see it as a statistical tie, and we love where we're at. We've built all of our momentum. I mean, tied for first. We built all of this momentum through grassroots and being out there talking about our background and our message. And the support we've got is just overwhelming. And I'm humbled by it and honored by it. And we haven't spent any money on advertising. That's coming. And so because of that, we love the position that we're in every day. We had a great candidate forum last night in Montgomery County. It was a combined Montgomery County, Cheatham County candidate forum. We took 47% of the vote of that, and it was over double the next opponent. And so we feel really good about our momentum right now.
And so I think that, you're somewhere in the top four. I don't know if you'll be on the debate stage on September 5th, no question. You meet the criteria.
That's right.
Yeah,
we'll be there. We're excited about it. We're excited about it.
All right, so Matt Van Epps with us for another segment. You can stick around for another segment, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll continue the conversation in just a moment. Matt Murphy Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. I want to talk to you for a moment about the Tennessee Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. And I love talking about these guys because not only can I talk to you about my experience walking through the halls, seeing what they do, looking at the 3D scanning process, understanding the modern technology that's available to you for those of you with sleep apnea. I'm also a client, right? I don't snore that much. And so I did not think I had sleep apnea. I was talked to by Dr. Stephen Poss before he retired, and Dr. Brian McLaughlin brings the same exceptional experience and credentials to the program as well. And he said, Murphy, I think you've got sleep apnea. I took a sleep test. Lo and behold, I did. I now have an FDA-approved oral device. It's like a mouth guard in football, right? You put it in at night. It gently holds the jaw forward. You breathe throughout the course of the night. You don't stop breathing. That's very important, as you might expect. And you sleep better throughout the night. You have better energy in the morning, and it prevents snoring. So if your partner snores, ladies, this is an option for you. I never would have worn a CPAP machine, but I wear my Sleep Apnea TMJ Solution Center mouth appliance every single night. I encourage you to go to Sleep Apnea's website, TennesseeSleep.com. That's TennesseeSleep.com. Talk to Dr. Brian McLaughlin and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center.
We'll also tell you what we're learning about the Minneapolis Catholic Church shooter today, coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, out of time for this segment. Ken Weaver's got news to do. So what we will do is reset with Matt Van Epps in just a moment, maybe just a second or two to continue the conversation with Matt. And then we take a short news break, and then we'll come back on the other side and talk a little more at length about some of the issues in front of us. I mean, I would assume, I don't mean to insult everyone's intelligence by asking obvious questions, but I think we can finish this one up in the 30 seconds that we have, Matt. I mean, you pleased with the southern border since Trump took over in January? Yeah. This is the easiest question I'll give you.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the short answer is absolutely. I mean, we have a secure southern border. It's thanks to the work of the president, Secretary Noem, and Chairman Mark Green. And Mark, as we talked about before, but Mark's endorsed me, and I think he knows I'll pick up the ball and work to fight to keep our border secure and deport illegal aliens, and not just deport them, but we should send the bill back as well and recoup the costs for that. That's American taxpayer dollars that we should recoup. And so I think the administration's done a really great job with it.
I mean, is it just going to be this difficult to kind of those illegal aliens that are currently here? And what I mean is the immigration courts and the political left, they're making this a slog. It should be pretty simple. You're either here legally or you're not. And if you're not, you got to go back to your country of origin, get back in line. If you want to come back, do it the proper way, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, going back and getting in line is the right thing to do. I mean, the president has made this very clear what the intent and the objective is, and has executed along the way to make that happen.
All right, we'll take a short time out for news. Matt Van Epps will be with us for another segment. If you have any questions, throw them up on the Super Text line, and I'll filter them to Matt, and we'll get some answers from him. It's 30 minutes after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Police have identified the 23-year-old shooter who opened fire at a Catholic school in Minneapolis this morning as Robin Westman. An 8-year-old and 10-year-old were killed. 19 other people, mostly children, were injured. ABC's Alex Stone reports.
The children were targeted sitting in the pews of the church. Bullets came through the stained glass windows. Annunciation School Principal Matt Du Bois with a message to the students.
I love you. You're so brave, and I'm so sorry this happened to us today.
He says older students were heroes, shielding younger students from the gunfire, and teachers took students to safety. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Yeah, police are now identifying the shooter, 23-year-old Robin Westman. FBI Director Kash Patel says Robin Westman was born Robert Westman. Driver's license information reviewed by ABC News shows a name change application in 2020, noting the applicant identified as a female and requested the name change. Police say the shooter was wearing all black with a rifle, shotgun, and pistol when the young children were targeted. This week marks 18 months since the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, the autistic teenager last seen at his home in Hendersonville on February of 2024. Channel 4 says Sebastian's father is still on a mission to find out where his son is, claiming Sumner County authorities aren't doing enough to find his son. Seth Rogers stood outside the Sumner County Courthouse today demanding transparency.
Come out here and remind him that it's not just a picture. It's a child that's missing, and it happens to be my son. And they need to do their job. Find my son. They need to be held accountable for their job. They need to be held responsible for their job duties.
Now, Sebastian's mom and stepfather say they're just as committed to finding him. Earlier this year, they hired a private investigator. A $50,000 reward is on the table from the FBI for information leading to Sebastian. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Well, West End Avenue, police reporting a crash there at 31st. In Laverne, police reporting a crash 24 westbound just past Old Hickory Boulevard. It is stop and go between 65 and Nolensville Pike if you're eastbound on 440. Northbound at 65 to get to the South Loop, that's stop and go. And then eastbound South Loop, stop and go moments there before you get to 65. And I'm seeing some really heavy traffic eastbound 24 once you get past 440. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
If you are out and about around town, you might see a billboard for U.S. Pest. J.K. and Erica Brister, they absolutely love what they do. They took over this company years ago. They've grown it by leaps and bounds throughout the Middle Tennessee area. And when you see that billboard for U.S. Pest, I mean, they're a pest control company. What they do, they come into your home and they help protect you from the bugs that want to overrun your home, your property, and take what's yours. But almost every billboard you will see, and as a matter of fact, I would say every billboard you will see, has an American flag on it. Because J.K. and Erica Brister love this country so much, they love this state so much, that they fly an American flag on every billboard. They don't have to do that, but they do it as a result of their love of country. I love to say that there's two things you need to know about this family. They love the United States of America, and they hate bugs. Bugs are little communists, right? The bugs want to come into your home, pay for nothing, and take everything. They want to take your AC in the summertime, your heat in the wintertime. They want to take your food always. And if you see one, I promise you, there's a lot more where that one came from. Eliminate roaches, ticks, fleas, spiders, and all of the other creepy crawlies from your life with 100% money-back guaranteed service from U.S. Pest. Monthly or otherwise, they'll take care of it. They also do termite protection and crawl space services as well. U.S. Pest, the telephone number is 590-1260, 590-1260, online at uspest.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN 4295. Let's see what you guys have to say about our candidate. He's on the hot seat. He is Matt Van Epps. And if you have any questions or comments about Matt Van Epps and his candidacy for the 7th Congressional District, get him in here. Larry says Matt's got my vote. How about that? You got a vote.
Thanks, Larry.
I got a vote from Larry.
Appreciate that.
This is an important question, Matt. Waffle House or Cracker Barrel, Mr. Van Epps?
That's a
toughie.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I might have to plead the fifth on that one and
don't go soft on me now.
That's a tough one.
So, well, I mean, you're busy. You're shaking hands. You're talking to folks about issues. You watch any of this going down with the Cracker Barrel?
Well, a little bit. I saw a little bit of what the coverage you've had on it,
right?
And,
I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, it's just kind of a little bit of a misstep on the part of the upper echelons of that company.
I think the president had it. I think it was either last night or today that he had a Truth Social post on it that said there's a great opportunity here. Yeah, and he's somebody who knows business and knows how to. And that if you take all of this free airtime and it's a massive opportunity. And I thought that was a really interesting comment, good comment on it.
I asked a candidate this question yesterday. And I love this question because I think it goes to the heart of the service that we've been talking about. What informs you that you are a Republican?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a wonderful question. I think the Constitution is one. I mean, I think I go back to I raised my hand at West Point on the plane at West Point and swore to defend the Constitution. The Army values are still very important to me: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. I think those are foundational. I'm a Christian. I think again, going back to how I was raised, I think just love of country. Mm-hmm. And, my dad, as I mentioned, he was an infantryman and tunnel rat in Vietnam. He got spit on when he came home. He was one of those unfortunate, had that experience, and he passed away in 2013 due to cancer from Agent Orange. But like the Toby Keith song, he flew a flag in the yard until the day he died. He never turned his back on his country. And I think that level of patriotism and love of country and, our best days are ahead and that opportunity, I saw that in him. And it's key to who I am and the fight that we bring forward and the fight that we'll bring forward for this district.
I think it's well spoken. It occurs to me, I feel like we went a long way during the Biden administration. We were losing, and I'll use my own family as an example. I don't have any children. My brother has a son, my nephew, and when Trump was in office the first time around, he joined junior ROTC and told his dad, and, Brian told me that he said, I'm proud of my boy. He wants to join the military. He wants to be in the Army. And that's great. And Biden came into office, and my brother called me and said he doesn't want to be in the Army anymore. And he said, I said, what happened? He said he was a junior in high school. And he said, no, he's kind of, he's just out of that mode. He doesn't feel it anymore. Doesn't feel that spirit. And lo and behold, he's now at Fort Leonard Wood. He's in basic. He graduates in October. Awesome. We're so proud of him. Awesome. And it is I'm telling you, it is a direct result of Donald Trump coming back into office. Absolutely. And bringing a spirit of patriotism and a spirit of a fighting spirit, a warrior spirit back to our military. From your observation, we were going down a bad path during the Biden administration.
Absolutely. Well, and I think, the president came back in, he reestablished, peace through strength. He brought back the power of the United States of America and were respected on the world stage. And he's led that. I think Secretary Hegseth has shifted focus to the warfighter, to preparing the warfighter, getting rid of all the other woke ideology and things to focus truly on the warfighter and accomplishing our mission in combat to make us the best fighting force in the world. And folks see that. And I think that's really important. I am really excited about having the opportunity as a congressman to lead the Service Academy nomination process for the district, a process that I've gone through. Sure. I think that's so important. And leading that under this administration, I think, is even more exciting.
So $74.90. No, come on. It $74.99 says if you'll say "Go Navy, beat Army," you'll get his vote.
I draw the line. I draw the line there. So that is
Don't do that.
Let's go Army beat Navy.
Some of the other issues folks are asking about. The president recently said that he was commissioning, I think, a study to see if we should reschedule marijuana. Right now it's a Schedule 1. It's in the same category as some other what most would consider much more dangerous drugs, and it prevents certain levels of research. I'm an advocate for medical marijuana. I believe it. I'm not asking you necessarily, although you can tell me what your position is on it. It doesn't have to be mine. But do you agree with the president that we might need to re-look at this? And where are you on that subject?
Yeah, well, I think re-looking at it. I try to be a data-informed decision maker, and so I think that makes sense for what the president's doing to relook that, and we'll be interested to see what the results are.
The idea of birthright citizenship is in front of the courts. I know that it has become a subject in this campaign. I know that there's currently a bill in Congress right now. I believe one of your opponents has said that it's going to be a priority bill for him, but I think the bill's already in Congress. Would you support the idea of eliminating birthright citizenship, considering the amount of people that we have here now that are claiming that and the amount of illegal aliens?
Yeah, I would absolutely take a hard look at that and work with the president and the speaker on that. And I think keeping our border secure is number one, and working to secure the border is incredibly important. I think deporting illegal aliens is the second phase of that's ongoing is really important. Sending that bill back to their country of origin so we recoup that money. I think that's incredibly important for American taxpayers.
We address, Matt Van Epps, the most important issues on this radio show. And with that in mind, we've asked you about Waffle House or Cracker Barrel. We've asked you, this ridiculous nonsense about go Navy, beat Army or whatever. So college football season's here. Does Matt Van Epps have outside of Army, obviously, a favorite college football team?
I do. And Army's number one as a West Point
grad.
That's my number one team. And this is going to be tough. But I'm an honest straight shooter.
Yeah.
I'm an Ohio State University fan.
Okay.
And that's because my dad didn't go to college, but he was an Ohio State fan. And
you come by it honestly.
And so I pull for UT and Vanderbilt when there's no conflicts with Army or Ohio State. So.
Okay, I'm not going to. Jackson, would you like to ask a question about last season, the playoffs, or what?
You know what? I'm good, Matt.
Okay, Jackson, you know what? Jackson likes you,
yeah.
So he's not going there with you. Jackson's a big UT guy, and I think probably the natural question had to do with the last year's playoff game, but we won't go there, Jackson, huh? You good?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Thanks, Jackson. Appreciate that.
No lingering questions from that game.
Obviously your military service, I think it probably informs you and maybe informs us about your areas of focus. What other areas of focus do you think that the 7th Congressional District desires? What are you hearing on the ground?
Well, there's a lot. Let me start by saying, going back to, I would have signed the big, beautiful bill. I think the low taxes, ensuring we didn't have the largest tax increase in American history was really important. Getting rid of the Green New Deal to unleash American energy, that energy dominance that America is having now under the president is incredibly important. That includes developing nuclear technology and furthering nuclear. It's something I'd really like to work on. We're going to have the first small modular reactor in the United States at the Clinch River site in East Tennessee, and that'll have impacts across all of Tennessee and the district. And I think that's the wave of the future. But also, also unleashing fossil fuels and natural gas. It's good to reduce the cost at the pump, but it's also good for our farmers. We've got to continue to invest in infrastructure. I think fighting for federal dollars to get the third lane on I-24 from mile marker 12 down to exit 40 is incredibly important. It's high return on investment, that infrastructure for the growth in Middle Tennessee in our district. Farmers, we need to continue to work on broadband, cell phone towers, so much of the farm equipment now. I'm learning a lot about it. I did not grow up on a farm, but I'm learning a lot about it. Met with the Farm Bureau, and so much of that equipment has GPS signal, and it needs the cell phone towers to be able to run that effectively and efficiently. Row crop farmers are hurting right now. We need to get back to getting farms to profitability, and I'd love to work on that side and fight for our farmers. But that cell phone coverage allows them to get their products to market faster and more efficiently. And so that infrastructure piece is really important. I think we need to reshore American manufacturing. I think there's a huge opportunity in the rural part of our district to do that, to lead in manufacturing. When we bring those supply chains back to the country, it's a national security imperative as well. And then we have all of the materials that we need, and we can lead on that. The president's been doing a great job on leading on those efforts as well. So I'm excited to work on that. Fort Campbell that's a huge part to our district. It's really important. I served there. My brother was in the 101st Airborne Division. I was in the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. Fort Campbell is a national asset. In addition to those two units, the 5th Special Forces Group is there. Our force projection capabilities are so important. We need to invest in Fort Campbell. It's an economic driver. That's really important. We also need to invest in when the folks that are there decide to leave service, when the soldiers decide to leave, we need to help them in the transition process to get integrated into our communities and to bring them out, keep them in Tennessee. It's such an incredible asset. I was honored to work when I was in the governor's office to build something called the Governor's Veteran Fellowship Program, and it brings folks transitioning off of active duty in those three units, the 101st, the 160th, and the 5th Special Forces Group, into Tennessee on a fellowship. 12 months gives them the training they need to be a leader in state government. And it's those kind of programs I'd love to work on. I think it's incredibly important, and so I'm.
So let me end with this, because several of our listeners on the Super Text line have asked this question. I think it's a question that's well put. The vast majority of you guys in the Republican primary obviously agree with most, if not everything, that our president is doing as Commander-in-Chief and as President of the United States. Is there anything that comes to mind that you disagree with the president on?
I'd love him to spend more time in Army and not Navy. So that would be the one. No, I think the president's doing an incredible job, and we'll be there to support him. I think he, as a special operator, that's what I'm going to back up the president. And I think it's my background in special operations, small business, state government, still serving in the National Guard, that is a differentiator in this race. It's real world, boots on the ground leadership. I've been in the fight for real, and I want to take that fight on behalf of our district, our state, and our country to D.C., and I'm excited to do that.
Should you be honored with the victory in the primary, you may take on a Democrat, Afton Bain, who has said that we'll see an Elon Musk boring tunnel in Tennessee over her dead body, which I think she kind of overstated the case there. Are you a boring tunnel fan? I mean, we've heard about that. I mean, it seems like a very exciting development in technology.
I am. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a very smart. It's not increasing taxes. It's no burden on the taxpayer. And it's, as we think about infrastructure and solving these really hard problems as we continue to grow, the accents that cost lives, that cost time, and the economic impact, this is a very smart, innovative solution that will be great for our district, for our state. So I'm excited to work on behalf of those solutions and to drive that forward.
Matt, good to meet you. Good to get a great conversation going, and I look forward to seeing you on the 5th.
Matt, thank you so much. Thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Real quick plug, website, folks want to know more?
Thank you so much. MattForTN.com. That's MattForTN.com.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Matt Van Epps, and we'll be talking to Matt on September 5th as we engage in a debate at Cabaret from 7 until 9 that evening. We'll be back in a moment. Wrap this hour up. Get to hour number 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The first thing Jackson said to me all day, is that we have a 5th hour now. No, I meant the 5 o'clock hour. You guys know what I meant. I didn't mean the 5th hour. Anyway, I'll tell you this. I don't do math very well, so I don't do numbers very well, but I know a guy that does, and his name is Shane Ring, and it's Cover Nash. Let's talk about it. Cover Nash can offer you a complete, almost holistic look into your healthcare coverage and figure out if you've got the right coverage for you. Now, the way to do that is to call Shane Ring and let him talk with you, and he'll ask you a few questions, and y'all will get to know one another, and he'll figure out, how big your family is, what age your kids are. Do you have them in the home, or are you an empty nester? What are you looking for in terms of health coverage? And then he's going to search the entire market and find the right plan for you, and only Only if it's right for you will he recommend it. That's the bottom line. Folks, this is not a cookie cutter approach, and he's not trying to sell you one particular plan. He's trying to find you the right plan for you. That's the bottom line at Cover Nash. And he's got plans, a PPO plan that allows you to choose any doctor in the United States of America and has a $250 deductible with outpatient surgery at just a $250 copay. I'm not kidding. Ask him about it. Ask Shane about it when you make the call to Cover Nash. That telephone number, 615-465-0023, 465-0023, or covernash.com.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, forecast, and traffic coming up in 5 minutes.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. In Minneapolis, 2 children are dead, 17 others injured after a gunman opened fire at Annunciation Catholic School. Police Chief Brian O'Hara identifying the shooter as 23-year-old Robin Westman and says the gunman was heavily armed and fired through church windows during Mass.
There was a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. All 3 had been lawfully purchased by the shooter. At this stage, we believe that the shooter had acted alone.
Police say the shooter died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound and are still searching for a motive and looking into social media posts, including a YouTube video appearing to show someone looking through notes and drawings, including one showing a church and pews. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey earlier says the city is in mourning.
There are no words that can capture the horror and the evil of this unspeakable act.
The FBI is investigating the mass shooting as domestic violence and a hate crime against Catholics. This is ABC News.
Flags at the White House lowered to half-staff after President Trump signed a proclamation to honor the victims. The proclamation orders flags on public buildings in the U.S. and around the world to fly at half-staff through Sunday at sunset. Meanwhile, the parents of a California teenager who died by suicide are suing the company behind ChatGPT in a first-of-its-kind case. The family claims the chatbot helped the 16-year-old take his own life. The company says it has safeguards in place. Here's Rhiannon Alley.
According to court documents, in one chat, the teenager sent a photo of a noose knot he had tied to a closet rod and asked the chatbot, "I'm practicing here. Is this good?" "Yeah, that's not bad at all," ChatGPT responds. "Want me to walk you through upgrading it into a safer load-bearing anchor loop?" And after telling the chatbot he was thinking of telling his mother about his suicidal thoughts, court documents claim the chatbot responded, "I think for now it's okay and honestly wise to avoid opening up to your mom about this kind of pain."
One of the nation's largest grocery store chains is planning to lay off more employees. About 1,000 workers in Kroger's corporate offices will be let go. And the layoffs will reportedly not affect anyone working in stores or anyone at distribution sites. According to Reuters, in a memo to employees, interim Kroger CEO Ron Sargent says the cuts will simplify the organization and will free up money to lower grocery prices and help them add stores and add hours for store employees. The company has given no indication that these cuts have anything to do with tariffs. And back here in Tennessee, Channel 4's Holly Thompson says the volunteer state stands out in a recently released report on education.
Well, studies show schools in America are struggling with low reading and math scores, but scores for students in Tennessee are improving. A Harvard-Stanford scorecard ranks Tennessee 3rd in the nation for math recovery and 9th in reading since the pandemic. Education experts say this is all part of the Southern surge. Now, they credit Southern states like Tennessee for focusing on phonics-based reading instruction, rigorous curriculum, and strong teacher support.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. The Gulch. Police say there's an injury crash on Demonbreun Street just west of I-40. Then in the eastern split, left lane blocked by a crash. That'll be 40 westbound there at exit 213A. West End and 31st Avenue got a crash there. Police say there's a crash in Antioch, 24 eastbound at Hickory Hollow Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, come on, let's go. It's 5:06. Good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show, underway for another hour, and happy to have you on board on 99.7 FM on your radio dial. We're also on a variety of different platforms. You can find us on Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, our own app, Supertalk 99.7 WTN. Then, of course, there's Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Hey, if you like and subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Is Ken Weaver back there, Jackson?
I'm here, Brother Murphy.
What's going on, Ken Weaver? Hadn't got a chance to talk to you. It's been a busy day.
I'm just doing this and that.
Hey, Ken, you've got the rate card back there. How much does it cost to like and subscribe with us on the talk side of things?
Absolutely nothing, boys. Yes.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. All you got to do is to hit the thumbs up, and we will be eternally grateful. Eternally great. As a matter of fact, if you hit the thumbs up button on a daily basis, when you call the show and you want to offer your opinion on a subject at hand, all you have to do is tell young Jackson Williams, we call him Fraction Jackson, hey, Jackson, you say, I'm a thumbs up person. You say, I'm one of your thumbs uppers. Wait a minute. Let's say this right. I give the old thumbs up, and Jackson will say to you, you go to the front of the line. And then you go to the front of the line. How about that? So disagree with me, go to the front of the line. Give us the old thumbs up, go to the front of the line. What y'all think of Matt Van Epps? I thought I've never met the man. Seems like a nice enough fellow. I appreciate and honor his military service. And I appreciate the fact that he's called to public service in the form of a congressional candidacy. And I look forward to further questioning Matt on September 5th on the stage at the Cabaret. Hey, speaking of being out and about, because I'm doing my entire show from the Cabaret on September 5th. Well, I say the entire show. I'm probably going to make myself scarce at some point in the 6 o'clock hour so that I can go and prepare for the debate. And either Dan Mandis, who agreed to do it, but I don't know if he remembers he agreed to do it, or Cameron Smith, or both, or Hand, or whomever will, sub in for me in the final hour or so of that. Jackson, you coming out to Cabaret?
I hope so. You have the information on that. Am I going with you?
I hope so. I don't have any further information except to say, I hope so. Weaver or Jackson, have either of y'all been to the Cabaret?
I have not.
I've never been there, Brother Murphy.
Let me tell you, I got a chance to see. I wanted to make sure I get in here on it because, look, we don't know how much longer the incredible Ray Stevens is going to be performing. I mean, he's in his mid-80s. I want to say, fact check me on this, Jackson. Ray Stevens, I'm going to guess 86 years of age. I'm normally pretty good at this. I'm normally right around it. I'm going to say 86 years of age. Ray Stevens.
Right on it.
86 years of age.
Yep.
So Ray Stevens opened up the Cabaret a number of years ago, and now they're selling it because he had a heart issue recently, and probably performing is a little tougher than it used to be. But we got a chance to go out there and see him, and man, even at 86 years of age, he was a fabulous performer and great on stage, singing some of his old hits. No, Shane, we just told you. Ray's not 88. Ray's 86. I guess maybe he has to catch up to the delay. Real quick before we get to your telephone calls,
615-737-9986. I told you guys so. I mean, I'm not one to play a game of Murphy was right, but if I heard the music, I would sing the song. So we talked about the Boring Company. Oh, there it is. Murphy was right. Murphy was right. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Murphy was right. Cut it! Jackson, you'll get to know me at some point when I do the old cut it. It's the quick cut. You know what I mean?
That's what I did.
I don't know. It's quick. It's a little sloppy.
We can try it again.
Okay, do it again. Hit it up. Hit it. Right, Murphy was right. Murphy was right. And got it. There you go. Now, see, that we're talking. That's what I like.
I almost put my finger through the board.
I've hurt myself now. I was doing the thing and I hurt my shoulder. Isn't that fun? I told you guys, Mayor Freddie O'Connell's office, this first reported by me, not that I'm going to break my shoulder patting myself on the back on this. Mayor O'Connell was all up in the boring tunnel discussion, and he begged out of that discussion because he didn't want to screw up his tax increase. According to an article in the I used to be a subscriber to that, the Nashville Business Journal, bizjournals.com, Mayor Freddie O'Connell's office asked to delay Boring Company tunnel discussions until after November's transit referendum. After the November elections, a memo prepared for Governor Bill Lee states that Metro, quote, wanted to distance themselves and we should, quote, not plan to cross or proceed under any street that is city-owned. The memo was provided to the Business Journal as a part of a public records request. In other words, it was exactly as it was told to you on our show. And once again, I'm not worried about credit or whatever, but I'm telling you, we knew this information. And Freddie O'Connell, when he publicly says, oh, we need additional information or we need more questions asked, he's the one that walked away from the table. He could have had every single one of those questions asked about the Boring tunnel, but he chose to walk away because he was so desperate to get more of your tax dollars in the form of this quote-unquote transit tax, which, by the way, has nothing to do with the Boring tunnel except to say that there's a different way to do this that doesn't involve additional taxation. 615-737-9986. Of course, if you have any thoughts on the tragedy in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 2 children killed, 14 hurt, 3 adults, 14 children hurt, 3 adults hurt, a total of 19, and then the assailant has killed himself. He was a biological male. We believe that the individual at some point in his life claimed to be transitioning, went from Robert to Robin at some point. Another example of a self-described transgender individual showing a propensity to violence. We know quite a bit about that in this community, considering what happened at Covenant School several years ago. And how long are we going to allow this to go without recognizing that a lot of these people, particularly young people that are self-described transgendered individuals, have shown a propensity to violence? This is not to say that all transgender people are violent. Of course they're not. It is to say that those that self-identify seem to be growing in their numbers of individuals that are committing acts of violence against their communities. And in the meantime, you've got liberals that are out there telling us not to pray. Not to pray. Imagine that. Telling someone not to pray for the family members of Minneapolis, Minnesota, that thoughts and prayers are not enough. That's what Jen Psaki said, former press secretary of Joe Biden, now on MSDUMB. It is time to consider how many of these self-identifying transgender people are actually mentally disturbed psychopaths and not transgender at all. Mentally disturbed psychopaths that are prone to extreme violence. 615-737-9986. And oh, by the way, old Representative Justin Jones, brother
Justin Jones, says that we need more than prayers. He was responding to Andy Ogles. Andy Ogles, who sent out an X post earlier today offering prayers to the family members and those affected in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Justin Jones says, we need more than prayers, Andy. Well, I'd agree with you, Brother Jones. We do need more than prayers. We need to expose the mental illness that has so often lately been associated with the trans ideology. We need to treat these individuals as the danger that they clearly are to their communities. And we need to do more to deal with the mental illness issues that are invading the minds of our young people. How to do that is up for discussion. That's what we're here for. Travis is next up.
That has a pretty big backyard.
Oh, Travis is talking. Hey, Travis. No, put him back up. Hey,
right on your tax info.
Hey, Travis.
Yes.
Hey, Travis, what's going on?
Oh, not much, sir.
Man,
How are you?
You're getting a job done over there. I heard you. You're hard at it.
Yes, sir.
Well, what's up, man? You're on the radio. What's going on with you?
So I have a question. It was actually for your last guest. So I retired from the Army in 2021. During all the COVID, all the crazy times, stuff like that. My family, my wife, they weren't ready to go back to Washington State because it's just like California. Everything was shut down, businesses, all that kind of stuff. So I've been trying to get a hold of any representation from the Pentagon, Hexeth, anybody. I know he lives in the area. I know some friends of his, but I'm sure he's super, super busy. I was just trying to, I've asked Marsha Blackburn probably about 8 to 10 times, sent all my records into her. And I've tried every avenue, every way that I can to get my last military move completed, but my wife and kids just weren't comfortable moving, during the last administration, all that kind of stuff. Didn't think that we were going to get the care that we needed to go back home. So I don't know if you and your infinite sources or anybody listening to your radio show, I've already sent paperwork into the Pentagon and into the Army channels, but I haven't heard for, 6 months. I just don't know what's happening, and I just want to make sure that my family's taken care of to go back to our home of record.
Okay, so I might have missed it there. I had a couple of things going on that distracted me. So you are out of the military now?
I retired in 2021.
Okay. And so what specifically are you looking for?
So you have military moves. Every time, you change your orders, every time you get a new duty station, every three to 4 years, you get a military move. Well, anyways, as soon as you get out of the Army, as soon as you retire, I've been trying to get our last military move to go back home. So when you join up, say you join here in Tennessee, then and you retire in Korea, then they have to move all your family, your military stuff back to your home of record.
So your last duty station was where?
Here in Fort Campbell, in Nashville.
Okay, and you're trying to get back to Washington State.
Yes, sir.
And so during the COVID time, they weren't moving people, or was it because
They were, but the whole thing was my wife and kids, they weren't sure
they didn't want to move.
Of what exactly was happening. Forced vaccinations. California was forcing everybody. All this nonsense, all this, hokey pokey. So they just weren't comfortable to move back to a blue state. So now that everything's settled down, well, I actually applied 2 years ago to go back to Washington, but they said I missed the window by like a year, maybe 9 months to request that. So you can request all the way up to 8 years, I believe, but you have to file for extension. So I'm just trying to get to the Department of Army, to get these circumstances looked at so I can actually move back to my home of record.
Well, I mean, I don't know the answer to any of these questions, obviously, but I think I can point you in the right direction, Travis. So your congressman would have been Mark Green, I suppose?
Yes.
Okay. So obviously you've got a little gap there, and you've not heard back from Senator Marsha Blackburn?
No, I've heard back from a couple times, but there's really nothing that she can do. So she said that, she would get me in touch with somebody, but just, hasn't got around to it. I'm sure she's a busy woman.
Well, I'm certain. Yeah, I suppose so. So, all right. So, first off, Travis, why don't you stay here? We like you. We love you over here.
Yeah, it's you just want to keep your family happy. You want to stay married.
Well, I get that. Now I understand that. No, in all seriousness, I know you got a lot going on your end. If you write my email down, it's easy to remember, matt@murphyshow.com, matt@murphyshow.com. Email me and tell me, just remind me of this conversation, said, hey, I'm the guy that you talked to about getting me in contact with someone, and I'll try to figure out who the best person would be. I don't know if it's Senator Bill Haggerty. Maybe you would have better success with him. Or perhaps I can get you to another congressperson that's willing to kind of take up the slack, seeing as how you don't have a current representative sitting. So maybe we can. The answer might be no. Obviously you probably have anticipated the possibility of that, but maybe we can move it down the road and get a yes out of a no.
Right, and I'm sure government wants to do right by the people who served and that they understand my predicament because, they righted the wrong. So I'm sure everybody's probably, there's a lot of people just like me in the same boat.
Hit me up and I'll see what I can do to get you some answers, brother.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Travis. And look, tell the family. I think, Tennessee, have you ever been to Washington State?
No.
Ken Weaver's been in Idaho. Ken Weaver has probably seen this with his own eyes. All the trees in Idaho lean toward Washington. Most people in the Southeast don't know this. The trees in Idaho lean toward Washington State, all of them. You can see it. You don't really see it when you're real close up, but if you're got a drone or you got an aircraft, all the trees in Idaho lean toward Washington. Do you know why, Jackson?
No idea.
Because Washington sucks. That's why.
But I'm bummed.
That's a good joke, kid. That's a good joke. You want to hear another one?
I'm good, but I'm sure you're going to do it anyway.
Why do birds fly upside down in Washington? In Washington State. Why do birds fly upside down in Washington State, Jackson?
I don't know.
Ken, do you know?
I have no idea.
Because there's nothing worth poop in Washington State. That's why. That's good. That's a good joke. That's a fine joke. What are you talking? That's a great joke. I cannot believe I'm not getting a laugh out of you. Thank you, Ken.
Ken, don't give him the.
That's
I'm not laughing at the joke, man.
It's a little bit of a pity laugh. Oh, he's like,
I love it when people tell jokes like that.
Really bad ones?
You missed the first one. You were doing something. Do you want to hear the first one, Ken?
Sure.
Why? You've lived in Idaho.
Yes, sir.
I just told this joke, Ken. I just drug this out five minutes ago. You lived in Idaho. Did you notice living in Idaho that all the trees in Idaho leaned toward Washington State? Ken, did you notice that?
I did not notice
that.
that.
Do you know why that happens?
I do not.
Because Washington sucks.
That was a pity laugh. Ken doesn't think you're funny either.
I don't.
It's Brother Murphy that's funny.
I don't need your pity. The question of the day is if a couple from Alabama get married, move to Washington, and then get a divorce, are they still first cousins?
I don't know. What's the Georgia law on that?
We don't allow that kind of chicanery, tomfoolery in Georgia there, buddy boy.
What word was that? Do I need to dump that?
No, you don't. You dump too much. Jackson's a dumper.
Brother Jackson's safe.
He is, man.
He's not taking any chances.
He dumped our guest yesterday. He thought our guest laid down the S-bomb.
I thought he did.
That's the way to go, Brother Jackson.
Look, you got my back. I appreciate that. It's 24 hours. You don't have my back on the break. I mean, I was supposed to take a break 4 minutes ago, Jackson.
Let's just keep telling bad jokes.
Okay.
I've got a deck of dad joke cards.
See, Ken's got dad jokes over there.
All right, we'll be back in a moment. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I feel violated. Jackson just voiced us out. That's awful.
Couldn't do more jokes, bud.
That felt horrible.
I had a good one, too, man.
Oh, that's too bad. Maybe later. Maybe during nincompoops. Hey, this is no joke. It's hard to find somebody that you can trust when it comes to your AC service. I understand that. That's why I've got the guy. You don't have to find him. His name's Jeff Eddy. And if your AC is not ready, call Jeff Eddy. If your heater's not ready, call Jeff Eddy. Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. They are your go-to HVAC company when it comes to smart repairs. What does that mean? That means not spending money where you don't need to, not replacing your unit before you need to. Sadly, a lot of companies, they just go that way. I mean, they feel like it's safer and they make more money. With Jeff Eddy, he understands that the life of your AC unit is money in your pocket. And the more life you can get out of that unit, the more money you save. And that is what he's focused on. Now, he's never going to tell you that everything's going to be okay when he knows it's not. So if his texts tell you it's time to replace, you know it's time to replace. They're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem. They can help you out with that. EfficientHVAC.net is the website, EfficientHVAC.net. Or call 615-784-4424, 784-4424 for Efficient Heating and Cooling.
Officials in Minnesota say there's still no motive for the deadly mass shooting there at the Catholic school this morning, but we're learning more about the killer. We've got that and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, my jokes might not be anything to write home about, but how about this? The Matt Murphy radio show.
Yes, sir.
Taylor Swift free since 1989.
Really?
Huh? Oh, yeah.
Wait a minute. Didn't she have an album called 1989?
Yeah, that was the year she was born. December 13th, 1989.
Good Lord, have mercy.
I know. Youngster.
I will play Taylor Swift the rest of the show.
No, please don't. Please don't. I don't want to I don't want to do that. I don't. We have such a good relationship going. I don't want to do the whole "I'm serious, I really don't want to hear it" thing. I mean, that would be bad for everybody.
Yeah.
Of course, if you don't tell me Jackson, honestly, if you did not tell me that it was Taylor Swift, I would not know. I don't know any of the Taylor Swift stuff. America's Princess, Taylor Swift, getting herself married.
Nashville sweetheart.
Y'all don't have any of Taylor Swift in the system.
Well, I mean, that's I have nothing to do with that. I don't know if there was some purging of a sort that occurred in that system or not, but I really don't have anything to do with it. The Matt Murphy Show, at least from the studio, Taylor Swift free.
Do you think she's the reason they've won those Super Bowls?
Here's the conspiracy theory that I heard, Ken, that they're getting married. So, there are people that claim that their relationship was just a big setup.
Yeah.
It was like to benefit her, to benefit him, to benefit the NFL or whatever. It was a fake. Well, those same people that originally said it was a fake are doubling down and said, no, this is a long fake.
Oh.
Deep fake.
So they lost the last Super Bowl.
Uh-huh.
Now they just don't want to go at all.
No, they lost the last Super Bowl to set all of this up, Ken.
Oh.
This is a long fake. They're setting all of this up so that Taylor and Travis K can get all married. They get them to the Super Bowl, and who's going to be the halftime show? Tay-Tay. Tay-Tay's going to be the halftime show, and Travis K is going to be there, and his team's going to win. They're going to get married right there on the 50-yard line.
I bet you the Eagles might have to say something about that because I think the Eagles are going to go again.
I think the Buffalo Bills have something to say about that.
You think so?
I'm a believer. I know we hadn't won in this postseason, but I'm a believer in Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen's the best quarterback going. And I'm a believer in him. And you know what? I wish I could say that about the Titans.
Although I do love that Cam Ward. I like that kid, man.
I like that kid, too. He's got a great head on. He's got a great attitude. Great attitude. Let's grind. Let's get it going.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of grinding, it's time for Weaver to grind on the news. Super Talk 99.7. WTN. Happening now. The news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Officials in Minnesota say there's still no motive for the deadly mass shooting that took place at a Catholic school in Minneapolis this morning. This 10-year-old was in the church when shots were fired.
My friend got hit in the back.
Did he go to the hospital?
Yeah, he went to the hospital.
What went through your mind when you saw that?
I was super scared for him. I was like 2 seats away from the stained glass windows. So the shots were right next to me.
An 8-year-old and 10-year-old killed. 17 others were injured. 14 of those are children. The body of the 23-year-old shooter was discovered in the back of the church with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Mayor Jacob Fry was at the scene all day offering support, calling for action on gun violence, then pleading for restraint on anyone looking to retaliate.
Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity.
So a driver's license belonging to the shooter, as reviewed by ABC News, shows he changed his name from Robert Westman to Robin Westman to identify as a female. Here in Middle Tennessee, Laverne police searching for 2 suspects they say robbed a man at gunpoint on I-24 yesterday morning. This was sometime between 10:45 and 11 a.m. The suspects driving a black Toyota sedan with a black license plate brake-checked the victim, threw eggs on his windshield between Sam Ridley Parkway and Waldron Road. Police say when the victim pulled over to the shoulder because he couldn't see, the suspects stopped, jumped out of their car, and robbed him at gunpoint. Police say the suspects were black men wearing masks and gloves and armed with pistols. Police asking anyone with information or dash cam footage that could have captured the incident to contact the Laverne Police Department. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, over at the Eastern Split, got a crash on the left shoulder. It's going to be right before the split at exit 213A, and it's westbound. An accident right now reported by police 24 eastbound at Murfreesboro Pike, and then 24 eastbound at Hickory Hollow Parkway. Now in Creve Hall, police reporting a crash 65 southbound at Harding Place. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Still a little bit of summertime left. Summertime's the time to feel and look your best, whether it's your tan, your bikini bod or whatnot. And fellas, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about that hair. I'm talking about that hair. Restore that bald spot. Reverse your receding hairline or add volume to thinning hair during Advanced Hair's once yearly summer savings event. Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment begins to regrow your natural hair the very next day. You heard me correctly. They guarantee it that your new hair will grow. There's absolutely no one in hair restoration that I would trust nor recommend more than Advanced Hair. Take advantage of the summer calendar and perhaps the flexibility in your schedule by getting you the most for your dollar. Advanced Hair's summer sales event is still on for a limited time. Get the details and schedule your free consultation by making the call to 629-348-HAIR. 629-348-HAIR. Hair. One-day treatment, life-changing results with Advanced Hair. Your new hair is guaranteed to grow. Online at advancedhair.com, advancedhair.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ray says, hell no. Joe Burrow's 10 times better than Josh Allen. Really? 10 times better than Josh Allen? 10 times better than the current NFL MVP? Okay.
Joe Burrow's pretty good.
Joe Burrow's pretty good. Joe Burrow's pretty good.
I tell you who's good.
Who's that?
That kid for the Washington, not the Redskins, but that kid is something else, man. He's like a freaking video game out there.
Jaden
Daniels.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Don't hurt me.
Why are we yapping about it, Ken? Hey, we have our resident sports expert here.
That's right.
On Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Young Jackson, a.k.a. Action Jackson, a.k.a. Fraction Jackson, a.k.a. Y2J.
Yes.
Who's the best quarterback in the NFL? Oh, it's time. It's time for an official Fraction Jackson Sports Minute on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Who's the best quarterback in the NFL?
Best quarterback in the NFL would be Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Followed by Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow?
Followed by Lamar Jackson. Followed by Josh Allen.
What about Jalen Hurts?
What about Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurts is top 10. Jaden Daniels also top 10.
Yeah.
Cam Ward soon to be top 10.
Yeah,
I like hearing that.
I like a lot of what I've seen out of Cam Ward. I'm excited to see him travel to Denver. That is a tough defense in Denver.
Yeah.
No doubt.
One of the league's best.
One of the tougher defenses, especially.
I believe the league's #1 defense last season.
So, fellas, can I ask you, and I know this is Fraction Jackson's Sports Minute, but do we feel like for the Titans, everything's building up for 2027, right?
When that new stadium opens.
Right?
Yes,
We're building a team for 2027, baby. That's what we're talking about.
We got to get that offensive line.
Hey, the O-line looks good.
Awesome.
Lloyd Cushenberry coming back from his Achilles tear. You got long-time NFL veteran Kevin Zeitler on the right side with J.C. Latham anchoring the right tackle spot. Left side, you got J.C. Latham and the recently signed in free agency, Dan Moore.
And you know what? Ward looks like he's in command of the offense.
He's in command of the team.
See, that's what you got to have.
I love it. Apparently, he did the same thing in Miami.
A rookie coming in and headbutting your star defensive tackle.
Yeah.
That's what I like to see.
Dig that.
Simmons.
Dig all of that. So what's the well, I tell you what, we're going to wait until next week because we've got a week, right? They don't start till next weekend.
Yeah, the
Titans start next Sunday.
Next Sunday. All right. Well, we'll on next week's edition of Fraction Jackson's NFL Sports Minute.
Awesome.
We'll find out what your prediction, Jackson, is for the Tennessee Titans for the season.
We can do the Vols.
We'll do the Vols, too.
We'll do the Vols. I want you to tell me your predictions for the Vols, the Sooners,
yes, sir,
the Bulldogs, and the Titans. How about that?
Vols 12-0, Sooners and Bulldogs both 0-12.
just gonna go ahead and throw that one out there. I mean, okay.
I mean, Jackson, he doesn't even care about the conference.
What
he
about
could care less?
What about Bama?
0-12.
Let's see. What about Ole Miss?
Oh, that's a hard one. Let me think. 0-12.
How about those the #1 team in the country? Those Texas Longhorns.
Oh, they have Arch Manning, former Manning. I'm partial to the Manning family myself. I might give them 0-12.
That means my Sooners win. Yes, sir.
Nope, you both lose, Ken. It's unfortunate.
No, somehow, that's the thing. Somehow you're losing too, Ken.
Here's what's going to happen. The rest of the SEC, other than Tennessee, has all been cheating. We've seen this. We know it.
Okay.
Everybody else has been cheating. So they're going to go back. Whoever wins these games is going to end up losing them via forfeiture of wins.
Gotcha.
Okay. That makes perfect sense to me. Would you mind hitting the Nincompoop soundtrack before we go any further? Thank you.
Nincompoops in the news.
So full of himself. You know why, guys? Because I think he won Nincompoops yesterday. Was it a runaway for you, Jackson, yesterday?
No, Ken Weaver kicked both of our butts.
Oh, did he now? I'm glad you're keeping score because I'm awful at it. Ken Weaver, congratulations, brother.
Thank you, everybody.
Did you feel like a winner when you woke up this morning?
No, I didn't.
Well, you were.
Congratulations.
I'll feel like that. Hopefully, I feel like that after this nincompoop.
Well, I'm ready for it. Jackson, you ready for it? Jackson's ready for it. Let's go.
I'm ready.
Kansas State quarterback Avery Johnson's father and brother issue apology after their Ireland brawl goes viral.
This is so good.
The video shows the two men on the ground embroiled in a physical altercation as bystanders try to separate them right after Johnson's Wildcats lost 24-21 to the Iowa State Cyclones. Now, it's not clear why the men were fighting, but in a joint statement, Mark and Anthony Johnson said they sincerely apologize for their actions. Senseless bickering escalated into an unnecessary fight. We've resolved our differences and take full responsibility for our actions. We have apologized to our immediate and extended family and now extend our apologies to Kansas State University, its alumni, and fans.
You know it's bad when you have to send the apology to the extended family.
Yes.
When you're texting your aunts, uncles, cousins.
Grandmama and them.
Yeah.
The Johnson men said they regret the incident, have learned from it, and are committed to ensuring it doesn't happen again.
What do you think happened? You think
I think they got drunk and stupid.
Yeah. Well, there was probably definitely some drinking going on.
Was this well after the game, I guess?
No,
this
right
was
after.
this was in the stands following the game.
Yeah, and they're rolling around in a big puddle of water.
Yeah, y'all forgive me for not knowing this. I've seen the video. Was the young man was on the losing team?
Yes.
Okay, so y'all think Daddy got a little liquored up and was berating his son about losing the game?
Could be.
Maybe.
Could be.
I ain't raised no loser. Come over here to Ireland. Why are you on me like that, kid? Boom.
You know what I want? I want there to be microphones for every Kansas State game now the rest of the season to hear the defense jawing at that kid.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Daddy's not going to like it if you throw an interception. Daddy and brother going to get in another fight.
I'm going to whoop that butt like Daddy did.
When you going to get a haircut, boy? Your
awesome.
daddy's bald.
That's awesome. When I first saw the video, I was like, oh, well, that's cool. Oh, my goodness, his father's trying to break up the brawl. Wait a minute, that is his father?
That is his
and he's fighting his brother? Oh, okay.
All right. Well, I guess,
You know, they say when in Rome, when in Ireland.
When in Dublin. I've seen a couple of them over in Dublin. Jackson, you want to go next?
I'd love to, Brother Murphy.
All right.
We're going out to Flagler Beach, Florida. Florida man arrested on DUI charges after hitting deer lying next to it. I did that to it. A Florida man has been arrested on DUI charges after he allegedly hit a deer while driving in the Ormond Beach area. A deputy with the Flagler County Sheriff's Office said they responded to a crash around 10:12 p.m. on Sunday, August 24th at 4800 Old Kings Road in Ormond Beach. Officials informed the deputy that a 68-year-old man named John Flynn had called to report he had hit a deer. When deputies arrived at the scene, he said he saw Flynn visibly emotional and lying down next to the deer. Flynn said to the deputy, I did that to it. The deputy said Flynn was swaying and having difficulty keeping his balance while he was walking. He also discovered Flynn's driver's license had expired.
Oh.
He conducted a field sobriety test, and Flynn failed. Flynn was arrested on DUI charges. Following his arrest, deputies said Flynn was making jokes, saying things such as, I hope you tell him that the deer had a knife.
Brought a knife to a car fight.
It's self-defense, officer.
I had to protect myself, officer.
It's self-defense.
He had 4 hooves and a knife. Had to do what I had to do.
He had a knife in each hoof.
Man, those deers.
They'll sneak up on you.
They'll sneak up. They get randy,
especially
too.
when you're drunk.
Man, my grandpa, when I went deer hunting, I was in constant fear of a buck sexual assault because my grandfather would slather me in deer pee. He would, man. And I feared it. When I was like 14 years old sitting in the deer stand, I'm like, a buck's going to come up here and think I'm a doe and, do what bucks do.
Yeah, they'll get you.
I get randy, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes, sir.
Oh, Randy. All right, here we go. Speaking of Randy, I take us out west to the Burning Man Festival, where I've got some bad news for those Burning Man enthusiasts in the listening audience. I'm sad to report that the famous
or infamous, depending on your point of view, Orgy Dome, one of the Burning Man Festival's most notorious features, is no more. The public sex-themed Nevada structure was flattened by high winds. Some might call it godly winds over the weekend, but defiant organizers have vowed that they will erect again. That's good. Yo, come on. Our build team worked so hard this past week to erect our lovely space. What? To erect our lovely space, the group's Instagram account declared.
Oh, my.
It took a lot of work, did it?
Unfortunately, the winds yesterday undid all of that labor and wrecked our structure. We are still here and thankfully safe. We hope to gift the playa some workshops. I'm just reading what is written.
The playa.
And we will keep you updated. The annual Burning Man event in the Nevada desert attracts an estimated, y'all want to guess, do y'all know?
I'll say 100,000.
70 to 80,000 people.
Yeah.
Joined together to build an entire city from scratch over the course of the week ending in Labor Day. The Orgy Dome is seen as somewhat of a centerpiece attraction where consenting adults can go do what consenting adults do while surrounded by others apparently doing the same thing.
Goodness.
As Breitbart News reported, this year's massive storms with wind gusts reaching 50 miles an hour wreaked havoc on Burning Man attendees, causing damage to campsites, art installations, and yes, the Orgy Dome itself. On Saturday afternoon, the National Weather Service in Reno issued an advisory for a, quote, wall of blowing dust, also known as a plague, coming from the, coming from the playa.
I don't know what that is.
Quickly pick P-L-A-Y-A. I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. That would be playa.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, it picked up speed, reduced visibility to less than a mile. What amount of money? Jackson, would you go to Burning Man?
Sure. I'm open to experience anything one time.
I am too. I would go.
I'd have done it in my 20s.
Yeah. As a younger man.
Yeah, but I'd have stayed away from that tent.
Yeah, I wouldn't
have gone anywhere near that tent.
No, that's a.
Won't find Weaver in the dome.
No, sir.
That's a wet wipe waiting to happen right there.
That's a doctor's visit.
You gotta.
That's an uncomfortable doctor's visit.
Gotta hose that off. I mean, what? I don't know what's going on.
Matt's got ads for the thing that you catch in that dome.
I do. San Francisco Chronicle reports that the Orgy Dome was originally founded in 2003 and has become one of Burning Man's most talked about fixtures, run by a, quote, sex-positive collective. It claims to offer festival goers a climate-controlled space outfitted with, well, the things that you might expect. So I'm just going to leave it right there. Try to keep it at least PG-13 for those of you in the listening audience. There you go. That's how you play Nincompoops in the News. Vote Murphy. Vote Jackson. Vote Ken Weaver. I vote for the I vote for the music. There you go. We'll get back to your call. Oh, Mike in Old Hickory hung up. That's too bad. I was going to say that we've got our weekly call from Mike coming up. Maybe he'll call us back.
He calls much more than weekly.
You know.
Boy, your brother stinks at quarterback. What'd you say, Daddy?
Vote Weaver. Vote Jackson. Vote Orgies. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Before I get into what I want to tell you about here in just a second, the Playa, it's pronounced the playa, and it is the desert floor in the Black Rock Desert.
Oh, That's what I thought.
See, Ken knew that, but he was just letting me figure it out for myself. Black Rock Desert Floor, known as the Playa. And here I thought they were talking about the patrons of the Burning Man. Hey, all you I'll see all you players at the orgy tent. No, that's not what they were doing. Here's the deal, folks. Holly and David are local owners of Savory Spice. And I absolutely love everything that they brought to our community. They bring a local flavor. They believe in our community. They love Franklin, Tennessee and the surrounding areas. And they love you and want to see you. They want to be your provider of all things deliciousness for the kitchen. Look, everything you cook in your kitchen, you're going to put some form of salts or peppers or spices on. Just everything, almost, I won't say everything, almost everything you cook has some form of seasoning on it. Don't you want the best? I mean, you're buying the better cut of meat. You're buying the nice fresh veggies. Why are you putting that old whatever it is from the back of the cupboard on there when you can go to Savory Spice and get that fresh spice or seasoning that's just right for the item that you're serving? If you don't know anything around the kitchen, don't worry. They'll feed you baby birds at Savory Spice. They've got Spice and Easy line of products that are so simple. Even I could do it. Savory Spice gives it to you. Also, a great amount of gift giving galore for the cook in your kitchen at Savory Spice. Go to Savory Spice just off the square in Franklin. Tell them I sent you.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. A Minneapolis community is in shock after a mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic School, killing 2 students and injuring 17 others. Police identifying the gunman as 23-year-old Robin Westman and say they believe he acted alone. Now they're looking into a post on YouTube before the shooting. Police Chief Brian O'Hara.
This manifesto appeared to show him at the scene and included some disturbing writings.
Some students recounting the harrowing moments when gunfire rang out during Mass to mark the start of the new year. Weston, a 5th grader, told ABC TV station KSTP what happened.
My friend got hit in the back.
Did he go to the hospital?
Yeah, he went to the hospital.
What went through your mind when we saw that?
I was super scared for him. I was like 2 seats away from the stained glass windows. So the shots were like right next to me.
The FBI now investigating the shooting as domestic terrorism and a hate crime against Catholics. This is ABC News.
Sorry about that. A mother and father in Southern California are accused of killing their 7-month-old baby, dumping the body, and then claiming it was a stranger kidnapping. ABC's Alex Stone reports from Southern California.
It was August 14th when Rebecca Haro claimed she had been attacked outside of a sporting goods store and her 7-month-old baby, Emmanuel, was kidnapped. Now Rebecca and her husband, Jake, are charged with murder. Riverside County DA Mike Hestron says evidence shows Emmanuel was killed by his parents, and they think they know where the body was dumped.
We have a pretty strong indication of where the remains of baby Emmanuel are.
Investigators say Emmanuel had been so severely abused over a period of time, he finally succumbed to his injuries. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Kroger, one of the nation's largest grocery store chains, plans to lay off more employees. About 1,000 workers in corporate offices are going to be let go. They reportedly will not be anyone in stores or anyone working at distribution sites. And according to Reuters, in a memo to employees, interim Kroger CEO Ron Sargent says the cuts will simplify the organization and free up money to lower grocery prices and help them add stores and add hours for store employees. Kroger has given no indication that these cuts have anything to do with tariffs. And after a string of fiery setbacks for SpaceX's flagship spacecraft, Starship finally pulling off a successful test flight, the world's most powerful rocket launching from Texas after 2 scrubbed attempts earlier this week. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
Starship making it safely to space, where it successfully launched fake satellites out of a side hatch. Then, a scary moment, an explosion near the engine bay as the ship began its re-entry. But Starship persevering. The spacecraft making a controlled landing burn before a fiery splashdown in the Indian Ocean. Pretty much everything going to plan.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. South Nashville got a crash reported by police 24 eastbound at Murfreesboro Pike. In Rural Hill, a crash partially blocking the on-ramp. This is going to be 24 eastbound from Bell Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Open phone lines in the final hour, 615-737-9986. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you're certainly invited. We'd love to hear from you. That's 615-737-9986. Lots to get into this final hour, not the least of which, obviously, 14 injured children. 2 children have perished at the hands of an obviously deranged individual. We're learning more about the assailant. I hesitate to use the names. I don't like doing that because I don't like to aggrandize these individuals. But I think we in Nashville, Tennessee, can probably identify. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to understand. It's hard to identify with any of this, but we can understand the pain that the community of Minneapolis, Minnesota is going through, considering that we went through a similar experience several years ago with the Covenant School shooting. And frankly, there's some similarities to the circumstances involved in the Covenant School shooting and the shooting at the Catholic school in Minneapolis. 2 children, ages 8 and 10, were killed. The individual responsible is a 22-year-old biological male who reportedly identified as a transgender female prior to killing 2 at the Annunciation. Am I saying that right? Annunciation?
Yeah, that's
That's it.
Catholic school in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Reportedly uploaded a video. I've seen the video on social media showing weapons and equipment. That video has now been deleted on YouTube, but it's been reposted to a variety of social media platforms. I reposted it. It's not for the faint of heart. It is graphic in the sense that you're listening to a person talk about killing human beings joyfully. It's very odd. Obviously, mental connections are not being made with regard to his ability to value human life, the ability to recognize the value of human life. This person said that they had suicidal tendency and they wanted to do something like this for a long time, and he committed that heinous and violent act this morning. We thank God. We pray, and just shake your head and pray and offer whatever comfort or support you can to the families that lost loved ones. And in some way, you have to thank God that it wasn't worse. You just have to. You just have to lean on your faith. And thank God that it wasn't worse, because it could have been. No explainable reason why the assailant did not enter the sanctuary while Mass was going on, except that he didn't. I imagine that maybe we'll learn more about the plans as hours become days and days become weeks. We do know this, that there was a lot of hatred in this person's heart. Robert, or Robin Westman, was his name. He was born Robert and apparently changed it to Robin as he was, quote unquote, transitioning. Showed off his various magazines for his rifle, a couple of magazines for his pistol. Written on those magazines, a lot of different messaging
anti-Semitic messages, things like kill Donald Trump, kill Trump now. Obviously was not a fan of the president of the United States, not a fan of various companies. It's just another weapon included the phrase remove kebab, which is apparently a reference to an internet meme celebrating the Serbian military leader in the nation's 1990s conflict with the Bosnian Muslims. I don't, the meme was later co-opted by those celebrating violence against Muslims. So this person had a lot of hatred, and he took it out on innocence. It's odd that he seemed to care so much about his family. And maybe this was just Bravo Sierra in his writings. But in those writings, he seemed to be very concerned about and sad about the suffering he was going to put his family through. All that to say, we're still digesting what went on. The shooter fired at praying children through church windows. And I've seen conflicting reports. In one report, I see that he killed himself at the back of the church. Well, I've seen that. I see the back of the church. I'm assuming that the back of the church means the exterior of the church, but I don't know. It could very well mean the interior. As we spoke to Brink Fiddler earlier about this of Defense Systems, he made a comment, and a couple of you questioned this comment. It is normal human nature that if someone is firing at you and you're in a room and they are exterior to that room, it is normal that you would want to get as far away from the gunfire as possible. But unless you can safely remove yourself from that room through a doorway or a passageway and do so in a way that you're not going to get shot in the process, counter to what your human intuition tells you to do, what you should do is move to the wall closest to where the shooting is coming from. And then move away from any windows or any opportunity that the shooter has to view inside of the room that you're in. You go to the hot wall and into the corner of the hot wall because the shooter has the least line of sight against you, and you are least likely to be discovered if a person is looking through the doorway or the passageway, and they will not see you until the last possible minute, and they have to completely enter the room. And obviously, this is a worst-case scenario, but I just mentioned this because this is the type of training that you get from Brink Fiddler and Defense Systems, and they're very good at what they do. So a lot of people commenting on what went down earlier today out of Minneapolis, and we'll continue to update you. The FBI is obviously on top of this situation as well. The individual left a suicide note, claimed to be dying of lung cancer, although we don't really see any indication that that's true. And for someone who's a psychopath along these lines, you never know what's true and what's not. 1733 writes in and says, I have a sincere and honest question. Guns have been around for at least a couple of 100 years, and we haven't had mass shootings until recently. We also used to have psychiatric hospitals that have been closed down over the years, and now there are pretty much none. Is there any correlation of when the psychiatric hospitals closed and we saw the beginning of mass shootings or an increase in them? Yeah, I wouldn't say it was the beginning of mass shootings, but certainly mass shootings seem to have increased over the last 30 or 40 or 50 years. I do think that there's correlation there. I do believe that when, as I said at the beginning of the show, we hear about this, the political left immediately rushes to gun control. What does that mean? What does that mean? What do they want? What? Tell me what gun control law needed to be passed to prevent this happening today. I'm listening. I mean, sincerely, I'm listening. Tell me. Tell me what law you wanted on the books that would have prevented today's tragedy. Now, we are told the individual in question had 3 guns on him. a rifle, semi-automatic rifle, shotgun, and a pistol. So let's say the law that you want passed is you want to ban all assault rifles, whatever that means. That's a term that doesn't mean anything, but let's pretend it does for a minute. Well, he still had a handgun, and he still had a shotgun, and he still had an incredible amount of magazines and ammunition for both. Or magazine for the handgun, obviously, no magazine needed for the shotgun. Let me tell you, we are overdrugging our children. We have allowed the pharmaceutical industry to infiltrate our children in such a way that I believe this is a major contributing factor to what's going on. Secondarily, I believe that, and this is Matt Murphy talking, I don't have a medical degree. I don't pretend to. But in the interest of discussion, I would suggest to you that our children, it seems to me, think that they deserve or they are owed a life that is a worry or pain-free. And I think this has been drilled into them that if they're going through something wrong, that there is something that they can do to change it. I think a lot of what happens with so many kids these days claiming to be, quote-unquote, transgender or gender neutral or gender fluid or all of these types of things, these are kids that are going through hormonal changes. These are young people that are going through life changes. They're suffering, as most of us did during those formative years, and they're being convinced, sadly, that there are fix-all things in their life that if you admit to this or if you agree to this or if you accept that or if you take this pill, that is a fix. And then there is the legitimate mental illness that we see in our country. Folks, life is, y'all know this, I don't have to tell you, life is hard. For the light to be so bright, there is darkness indeed. And I'm getting up there in years. I'd like to believe I'm halfway done. I'm more than halfway done now, but I remember, everything at 15 and 16 years of age seems to be, just earth-shattering and the end of it all. And, everything is so damn emotional. Almost every single person listening to me, if you think back on it, there was a moment in your lives where somebody in your circle or someone in your life in high school, you were worried because they were threatening they were going to do something to themselves. You know what I mean? Everybody. We all had it. I could name you the names. You go to a party and there's drama and Cindy Lou said she's going to kill herself. And back then it seemed to me, for the most part, just talk. And I understand that sometimes tragically it happened, but for the most part, it was just emotional talk. It feels as if a lot of that has been escalated and amplified. And I think social media has a lot to do with it. I think psychotropic drugs have a lot to do with it. I think tendency to attempt to convince kids that any amount of frustration, any amount of mild depression, any amount of the blues is unacceptable and means that there's something wrong with them. I think all of that contributes to what we see going on. And none of it has to do with a gun. None of it. None of it. I wish that our liberal friends, quote unquote, would just come at this a little more honestly. Because when they begin talking about gun control and assault weapons, they're really talking about all guns. They're talking about all guns. It's the only thing that makes logical sense. Because if we took away the assault weapons, and
and that's where they'll start, then what comes next? What about the tens of thousands of murders that occur annually with handguns? Well, the left won't admit it, but they want those too. And I do not believe that that is acceptable to the American people. But what happened today should not be acceptable to the American people either. As I said earlier, and I'm not trying to repeat myself here, but get into the mentality that you are the first responder, that you have the responsibility to act, that you have a responsibility to protect yourself and others around you. There's no savior coming for you. There is no magic person hiding around the corner that's going to protect you. Our first responders are wonderful people, by and large. They are there for you almost instantaneously, and the key to that sentence is almost. They cannot be everywhere at once. We have to protect ourselves. We have to take charge of that responsibility. We have to fortify ourselves. And we must insist that we eliminate this nonsense known as gun-free zones. Nonsense. Criminals do not abide by these rules. They consider gun-free zones to be target-rich environments. Why do you think this cowardly, evil, targeted a child's church service? Because they knew that there would be no shooting back. We'll get to Jeff and your calls coming up in just a moment. A very complex issue, but one that merits discussion. We will also put a capper on the Cracker Barrel story for what it's worth. And, of course, your telephone calls and your comments. 23 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Grace Point Healthcare. Grace Point Healthcare is indeed modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. Grace Point Healthcare is conveniently located in Franklin. Love the location, love the concept, love the company. Grace Point Healthcare is here for you. They are a direct pay primary care physician. What does that mean? Well, simple. That means that insurance companies do not get in the way of the decision-making between you and your doctor. It means that you don't have a wait time. It means that you can get in same day or next day, even brand new patients. It means that you will be billed, and then you can file for your reimbursement with your insurance company. File with your insurance company for reimbursement, I should say. They even do house calls if you're just feeling too bad to leave the house. I mean, it really is an old school feel, but the most modern of medicine techniques at Grace Point Healthcare. If you feel like you've lost a step, you need to get to Grace Point. They can get you in, even brand new patients, and ask them about the Smart Care plan when you go. 599-6868, 599-6868. Modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way at Grace Point Healthcare. Thank you, Ken. 28 after. Calls and super text on the way. 8781 writes in and says, what is an assault weapon? Please explain. Well, I said this, and maybe I did not say it emphatically enough. The term does not mean anything. I was intentionally using the language of the left. This is the terminology that they use, which is why I say if I could magically, whatever they mean by assault rifle or assault weapon, if I could magically just make all of those things disappear, they would still come after your handguns. They would come after your shotguns. They would come after. They want it all. I mean, that is the natural conclusion to their argument. If their argument is it's all about the guns and not the people, then naturally they will go after the next thing. To the point that, are you going to be allowed to have knives in your daily life? Probably not. Jeff is in Indiana with a thought on all of this. Hey, Jeff, I'm glad you called. How are you?
Hey, Matt, doing good. But you kind of stole my thunder because I was going to say that, the only gun laws that they could pass that would help this situation is to ban all of the gun-free zones. Because people don't realize where most guns are, there's the least amount of violence. Show me the mass shooting at a gun range, where everybody's armed.
That's right.
You never see that for some reason, and that's where you'll find most people. With,
yeah, you never. I always said it this way, Jeff. You never hear about the gun store getting robbed, do you?
No. Not if you're smart.
You don't. No, you might hear about some idiot getting shot at the gun store trying to rob the place, but
yeah, that's true. But it's like New York, Chicago, and everything. If you want to stop a lot of the killing in those places, I don't see how they get away with it. But arm everybody. These gangbangers are out there with the guns and everything and shooting everybody. If they was going to get shot back, maybe they would think twice before they started shooting.
Well, 100%. I agree with you that the only thing that these gun-free zones declaration. I mean, I said earlier today, I don't know if you were listening, Jeff, but these little. Have you ever seen one of these signs that has the gun on it and then like the red circle with a line through it?
Oh yeah.
People tell me about those all the time, Jeff, but I've never seen one. I've never seen one. You know why I've never seen one?
Because you don't go there.
Well, no, because I don't look.
Oh, you don't look.
You know what I'm saying?
What needs to be put on those signs? We just need a fish in a barrel. Stick a little sticker on those signs. That's what you are when you enter that zone. You're a fish in a barrel, man.
I hate to laugh, but man, it's true. Jeff, great call. I got to run to the news. I appreciate it. Call me back, brother. I thank you for the call. Now, understand my sarcasm when I say that, because here's what I get to do. If old Fraction Jackson, general manager of What's the Matter You store, comes up, I don't know, I'm making something up, and if he's the GM of the Cracker Barrel, let's say, and he comes up and said, sir, I believe that I see a gun on your person. Don't you know that this is a gun-free store? This is a gun-free restaurant. This is a gun-free shop. This is a gun-free establishment. You know what I will say? I didn't see that. I'm sorry. I apologize. I shall leave. By the way, we got a couple of good pieces of news regarding guns in the state of Tennessee. I'll tell you about those. There are a couple of pieces of legislation that the Tennessee court unanimously struck down. 2 gun control laws that were struck down by Gibson County Chancery Court, overturning 2 state laws preventing Tennesseans from carrying firearms in parks and having the, quote, intent to go armed. I believe this is good news, and it's pursuant to exactly what I've been saying about gun-free zones. More on that in a moment on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for the Glock store. You know, I'm laughing because I was thinking about me saying, you don't hear about the gun store getting robbed. You don't hear about the Glock store getting robbed either. There's many folks. You know, they ask that you unload that Glock or whatever gun that you have before you walk in. They just don't want any accidents. You can load it up in the gun range, though. Shoot 270 gun rooms, ladies and gentlemen. Rooms, never lanes, rooms at the Glock store. Now, let's talk for a moment about going to one of those rooms and test driving one of their C-Cuts. You can buy a sample bullet pack for $6.99. If I'm not mistaken, that's 10 bullets. You can shoot your choice of a C-Cut Glock 17, Glock 19, or Glock 43X. The reason that I encourage you to do that, because if you have a 1917 or a Glock 43, you bring your own. Take a bullet pack for your gun, then take a bullet pack for the 19, the 17, or the 43X with the C-Cut, and see the difference. Because less recoil means a more accurate shot. And the C-Cut makes a huge difference in all of these models, particularly the 43X. Don't forget to bring your Glock. Test a drive, maybe comparison shop, and then you're going to hand your barrel and slide to the Glock store, and you'll wait less than 10 days to get your C-Cut installed from the Glock store, minutes away from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Ladies and germs, go to online to theglockstore.com. You know, Brian's so right. Brian writes in on the super text line. By the way, you can write us on the super text line, 615-737-9986. It functions just like a text, right? You're texting me directly in studio, and if you don't want to wait on the phone lines, you can do that. Brian writes in and says it's weird because Brian's identifying with my remark that I never see, you know, those no guns allowed signs. I never see them. I never see them. I don't know. I mean, I'm a law-abiding citizen. I believe in property rights. I believe that this restaurant that I'm sitting in with my piece safely concealed has every right in the world to set up the rules of their choosing. But if I don't know about them, y'all know what I'm saying? You got to let me know. If I don't know, then
It's weird. I never see them. I never see those no guns allowed signs. I wish they'd put them more prominently displayed. I'd abide by the rules, but as it stands, I'm concealed carry. Thank you very much. But I often notice the firearms welcome signs. I see those everywhere. I believe that I don't know that I've ever missed one. You know, you'll see the sign. It has a gun. Typically, it says firearms welcome. I like this one. Firearms welcome. Please keep all weapons holstered unless need arises. In such a case, judicious marksmanship is greatly appreciated. I mean it, folks. You train yourself not just in how to use a gun, but when to use a gun. You need to know that. It could save your life, and even if your life is spared in the use of a gun, it could save your life in terms of your freedom if you misuse your gun. Understand how to use it. And use it judiciously. So a couple of the laws, I mentioned this story that came out. I'm reading from the Tennessee Star. Hold on, I've got to sneeze. Pardon me. My apologies, Jackson.
That was two big ones.
That was, yeah. I believe in getting them out, get the demons out of there. The Gibson County Chancery Court overturned 2 state laws that prevented Tennesseans from carrying firearms in parks and having the, quote, intent to go armed. The Chancery Court was made up of 3 judges. Tennessee law requires 3 judges to decide a case when someone challenges the constitutionality of a law. The carrying firearms in parks law referred to Tennessee Code 39-17-1311A. It made it a criminal offense to someone for anyone to carry or possess a firearm in any public park or playground for recreational purposes. The other law, for the intent to go armed, it referred to Tennessee Code 39-17-1307A1, which said that a person commits an offense who carries with the intent to go armed a firearm or a club. What? In the court's decision regarding both of these laws, it stated the statutes violated the Second Amendment to the United States of America's Constitution and Bill of Rights, and Article 1, Section 26 of the Tennessee Constitution, which affirms a Tennessean's right to bear arms. The plaintiffs in the case were Stephen Hughes, Gun Owners of America, and the Gun Owners Foundation. Defendants were Governor Bill Lee and Attorney General Jonathan Skermetti and other state officials. Pertaining to, and just reading from the Tennessee Star article now, pertaining to carrying firearms in parks law, the defendants attempted to argue the law fell under the, quote, sensitive places doctrine. This doctrine states government can constitutionally prohibit the possession of firearms, thus lawfully requiring citizens to surrender their Second Amendment rights by foregoing the right to keep and bear arms in self-defense in such locations. The sensitive, and I'll say this is Murphy talking now, the sensitive locations doctrine, that is for places like a courthouse. Here's my rule of thumb. And it is not universal, and we can probably find certain exceptions that prove the rule, if you will. But here's my basic rule of thumb, okay? If the state of Tennessee expects me to disarm myself, then I expect the state of Tennessee will provide security for me. You follow? So if the state of Tennessee, when I go into the Capitol building, I was at the state Capitol just a couple of weeks ago, visiting with some young conservatives. And I went through the appropriate security measures, and I left my firearm in my truck, locked in my center console. And I knew that I would go through security, which is why I did so. But when I did that, I now have the expectation that if the proverbial poop hits the proverbial fan, that there are people there with guns that will assist me in fighting back. That's the expectation. Courthouse, the same deal. I understand that there are certain places that are of a sensitive nature that might preclude my ability to conceal carry or to keep and carry. But those are very few and far between. And I have a full expectation that the state in prohibiting my right to protect myself per the Constitution is fully prepared to protect me. Does that make sense to everybody? And so when you extend this sensitive places doctrine to places like parks, that's just garbage. Garbage. And I don't care who voted for it, and I don't care who passed it, and I don't care what the justification was for it. It's garbage. According to the defense, they said parks should be treated as sensitive places due to children being present there and the history of restricting said firearms in the parks. The defendants, they referenced state law, yada, yada, yada. The plaintiffs said the doctrine did not apply to parks because they were not, in fact, sensitive places. Historically, the plaintiffs said the park ban came after the Civil War, which meant the law did not reflect the true historic tradition of the Second Amendment. In the decision, the court stated that the park ban did not apply to the sensitive places doctrine because it pertains to government functions, such as, oh, looky here, I should read on down, such as legislative assembly, courthouse, and polling places. Furthermore, the court said parks and playgrounds and recreational areas are not essential government buildings, and there's no expectation that they're going to protect us. As a matter of fact, like 4963 has said, parks are some of the most dangerous places imaginable. 2372 writes in and says, hey, Matt, another thing is the Second Amendment doesn't say anything about a firearm. It says arms, which was intended to be the same weaponry the government has because it was meant for you to go up against the rogue government. I agree with that. So actually, hand grenades, rocket launchers, tanks, battleships, anything that's considered an arm shall not be infringed. You know what they also say, though? You know, I've had this conversation with folks in the past because my buddy 2372 then goes on to say, why the hell are you talking about guns anyway? It seems to be all they're interested in. Constitutionally, you should be able to carry anything you like. Right. Carry. Correct. It doesn't actually say carry, does it? It says bear. So if you really want to go by the letter of the law, 2372, I'll play that game. Anything you can bear, buddy. Anything you can bear. Got to shoot a projectile, though, which was the common definition of an arm at the time that the Second Amendment was written. But you got to be able to bear it on your person. And I don't know the last time you tried, but I can't bear a Sherman tank. Maybe a grenade launcher. It's 10 till the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Were you listening? By the way, Jackson, were you listening to the show just a minute ago? I thought I was clear about bear. Bear is in carry. And now I got a guy saying bear means carry. Yeah. That's what I just said. And by the way, bear is not spelled in this case B-A-R-E. That is to take all your clothes off. See nincompoops in the news every day, 535, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. B-E-A-R would be to tote. I would say to tote arms. I wish they had put it that way. The right to tote arms shall not be infringed. Hey, if you're toting a burden, and that burden is an inability in the bedroom, might I recommend the Tennessee Men's Clinic to you? Guys, I understand this is a topic of sensitivity for you, but many men in our listening audience experience this, and you try to pretend like it's not going on. If you've noticed not a lack of desire or willingness, but a lack of ability and function in the bedroom, gentlemen, let's get to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Let's clean this up. Let's not depend on the internet. You don't know what you're getting on the internet. You're probably getting bad things. You need to go to the urologists at the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Talk to one of their agents. They will test you right there in the office. They will get results the same day that you go, your first appointment, and they will devise a plan of action for you that'll get you men, dare I say it, back into the ball game, back into the bedroom. It's the Tennessee Men's Clinic. They have now 3 separate locations to serve you. One is in Midtown, the other Cool Springs, and now the brand new location in Clarksville. I was talking to Tennessee Men's Clinic about that Clarksville location just today. Love it, love it, love it. You'll will too. Give a call to 615-208-9090, 208-9090, or online, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm just going to run down some of these comments. Anytime that we have conversations about this, the Second Amendment. Look, I feel like I'm pretty close to being a Second Amendment absolutist. I don't think that, I don't think in the modern world that the dangers involved with, making, for example, suitcase nukes permissible for the average
America, and I don't think that we should have suitcase nukes. We have those available, right? But, there's some that would say, yeah, I mean, that's just what the Second Amendment says about it all. 2372 writes back and says, actually, Matt, you don't have to carry it. It says to carry or possess. No, it doesn't. The Second Amendment doesn't say that. It doesn't say to keep and it says to keep and bear. I mean, to keep and bear. So, I mean, it doesn't say possess. I mean, maybe I'm just splitting hairs, but I think we're all on the same page. And I'm not trying to, I've never met a subject that gets more rancorous for no reason than the Second Amendment, except for, Second Amendment. I mean, people are very, very sensitive about the Second Amendment. And I don't blame you because there are a lot of institutions and there are a lot of Americans that want to erode that right. And here's what I say to them. Come at me, bro. If you want to go after the Second Amendment, go for it. If you want to go after, my AR that I have at my home or any of my other guns that I have at my home that I keep and bear on occasion, then you have to repeal the Second Amendment. Thank you very much. 9751 says, Matt, the intent to go armed law said you couldn't carry on your property. Yeah, it was a bad law, and I'm glad that it got knocked over. And hopefully I assume that the state will appeal to whatever the next appellate court is, and whether that's the Tennessee Supreme Court or whatever, I would fully expect that based on Tennessee code and based on the Second Amendment, that they will rule with the defendants in the case or the plaintiffs. Which are they? I guess the plaintiffs. I won't take my old Ironsides to the park, I promise. Well, you can do whatever you'd like. I'm all about that. 3822, I just tuned in. I'm super curious how this conversation started and how it got to where it is now. Please and thank you. Well, first off, 3822, show starts at 3. We appreciate you being here promptly and on time. Thank you very much. Work is no excuse. Now, I would suggest to you that if you cannot be here at 3 o'clock, perhaps you need to get some priorities in order there, 3822, and maybe find yourself some other employment. I mean, look at Jackson as a good example. Jackson's got a lot of jobs. Jackson wears a lot of hats. Jackson gets here at 3.
Barely,
but he gets here. So come on now. Show starts at 3, guys. That said, it was all born out of the natural conversation that comes out of a tragic event like what happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota today, and the news out of the state of Tennessee that a Tennessee court struck down 2 state laws involving firearms and the ability for you to carry a firearm into a park and the ability to carry a firearm, quote, with the intent to go armed. Let's see. Anything else we need to get to before we go? I think that's about that's good. Oh, Jen Psaki's still a scumbag. That's good. Tomorrow on the show, Representative Scott Sapicki will join us, which is great. We haven't talked to Scott in quite a while. There's some good news regarding education in the state of Tennessee that we will discuss, and a few other matters that Scott will get into. Always good to talk with him. And I am so pleased to be joined tomorrow by Pastor Alan Jackson of World Outreach Church. Pastor Jackson will be on with us at 4:05. He's got a new show starting on Super Talk 99.7 WTN on the weekends. We'll find out all about that, but I'm very interested in what he has to say about some of the world events going on around us and how that translates into what he does leading his flock at his church. That is coming up tomorrow. Mark Levin right now. Until next time, friends and neighbors, have a great evening. Hug your loved ones. So long, everybody.